Chapter 351. Jiang Chongkong counted the astral crystals in the secret room. The number was shocking, and it even made Jiang Chongkong tremble. Inferior grade, 8 astral crystals, 430,000. Middle grade astral crystals, 240,000. High grade astral crystals, 180,000. Top grade astral crystals, 110,000. Inferior grade, 9 astral crystals, 55,000. Middle grade astral crystals, 32,000. High grade astral crystals, 16,000. Top grade astral crystals, 4,000. After distributing the 14 pieces of land and deducting the salary, he still had that much left. Essence, chi, and spirit, 37. 2 million. He still had more than 2 million essence, which was enough for him to reach the late-stage Starry Sky realm. After extracting his essence, chi, and spirit, Jiang Chongkong left his territory and entered the ancient battlefield. He sat down cross-legged and upgraded the 8 martial arts. The 7 stars started to vibrate, and the runes increased again. Jiang Chongkong's bright moon and the power rune star had a stronger Tao aura, like a real bright moon and a power star. The phenomenon spread and shook half of the ancient battlefield. The power rune star caused the ancient battlefield's killing array to shake. His Tao seal increased slightly, which made his strength soar again. The astral force in his body surged, and his foundation was strong enough to shock any expert. The white cloud star, the Tai Chi star, the tyrant saber star, and the god-governing art star all appeared and revolved around him. At the same time, the number of star formation patterns on these stars increased rapidly. After reaching the late-stage Starry Sky realm, Jiang Chongkong's strength increased dramatically again. The power of the moon star and the power rune star could easily kill Feng Qixing, even if he had to accumulate power for a few days. This time, no one would be able to break his defense. With the Tao aura, he could do it without activating the 3 stars. Jiang Chongkong didn't know how strong a Starry Sky Realm cultivator was, but he was sure of one thing, and that was he was a crab if he was below the top level. If he wanted to walk sideways, he would walk sideways. After the upgrade, Jiang Chongkong wasn't in a hurry to leave. He continued to condense the 9th grade Superior Star Array. This time, with his previous experience, Jiang Chongkong felt that he wouldn't need 4 months. After all, it had taken him a very long time to comprehend it. First, he carved the star formation of power runes, and with the speed of the star text of God, Jiang Chongkong soon got a glimpse of the great Tao of power runes. The great Tao of force pattern in his body strengthened a little more, and his star power also increased a little. His Taoist rhymes circulated, and his power multiplied. Next was the Moon Great Tao. He carved a superior grade 9th tier battle body star formation to pry into the Great Tao and add his own Great Tao imprint. After an unknown period of time, Jiang Chongkong finished cultivating. The mark on his forehead solidified a little. Only then did he check his stats. Jiang Chongkong, late star realm, high tier, high grade martial art, 3-foot golden body, Desheng, 128th, 8 million Tai, Qi Yang art, Desheng, 128th, 8 million God governing art, Desheng, 128th, 8 million bright moon skill, Desheng, 128th, 8 million blade, Desheng, 128th, 8 million holy sun art, Desheng, 128th, 8 million white cloud 9-fold sutra, Desheng, 128th, 8 million high great array art, battle body star formation, incomplete Desheng, 128th, 8 million essence, energy and spirit, 102,8885 for inches. Only been 2 months. I don't think he's in a hurry. Jiang Chongkong glanced at the date, then turned into light and left. He scanned the area with the god-governing art and found Liangxiu Xuani drinking tea in the territory. Miss Xuani, you're in a good state of mind. You're not in a hurry at all. Jiang Chongkong appeared and said with a smile. Liangxiu Xuani calmed down. I called you 58 times in the past 2 months, but you didn't respond once. Oh, really? Maybe I was too focused on the star Tao. so I didn't sense it. Jiang Changkong wasn't embarrassed. He was in a good mood after his breakthrough. You don't have to go there if you don't want to, Liangqiu Xuanyi said indifferently. It's not just the Divine Palace. I'm also very interested in the divine treasure that Miss Xuanyi mentioned. Jiang Changkong put his hands behind his back and said with a hint of eagerness in his eyes, I wonder if Miss Xuanyi can help me get it? Do you really think I'm omnipotent? Liangqiu Xuanyi rolled her eyes at him. Or do you have the soul-stabilizing tree and are confident that you can find it? I don't have the soul-stabilizing tree. Miss Xuanyi, you should know that I'm also a soul martial artist. Now that Changyue has comprehended the Moon Great Tao, I've been greatly inspired. I'm wondering if there's anything in the divine treasure that can help me comprehend the Soul Great Tao? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Jiang Changyue, bring him along this time. It'll be safer. Liangqiu Xuanyi's calm face changed a few times. Comprehending the Star Tao and reaching the top martial artist realm would be a whole new world. Jiang Changyue's strength and Jiang Changkong's strength were the strongest below the top martial artist realm. Liangqiu Xuanyi found it hard to imagine who else other than the top martial artist realm could restrain the two of them. Changyue has his own path to walk. I'm enough to deal with a bunch of useless people. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and said, just answer my question. Can you get it? Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. Gu Yinyu and Qiu Yun will also be in this battle. They should be carrying such a precious treasure with them. They're from the Divine Palace. Isn't the treasure with the Divine Palace? Jiang Changkong was puzzled. They obtained it themselves. Since the soul-stabilizing tree appeared, the Divine Palace didn't ask them for it. Liangqiu Xuanyi explained. Then let's go. Where is it? Jiang Changkong asked. Here. Liangqiu Xuanyi took out her phone and sent him an address. I'll go first. You can go ahead of me, but don't show yourself. Jiang Changkong nodded and merged with the world. Liangqiu Xuanyi left the territory, put on a suit of armor, and disappeared into the distance. A superior 9th grade armor. Jiang Changkong, who had merged with the world, was slightly surprised, but he quickly calmed down. Liangqiu Xuanyi must have a great force behind her. If she could get information about the Divine Palace, it wouldn't be surprising for her to have a superior 9th grade armor. Jiang Changkong followed her closely and merged with the sunlight. With the help of the mystic Yang step, his speed was extremely fast, far surpassing Liangqiu Xuanyi. Jiang Changkong merged with the sunlight, and the power of his sacred Yang art increased a lot. The place Liangqiu Xuanyi mentioned was a valley. The valley was full of flowers, releasing a strong fragrance. There were star arrays and star martial artists hiding in the dark. If not for the star arrays and star martial artists hiding in the dark, Jiang Changkong felt that this place was no different from an ordinary valley. Did something happen to Yinan here? Jiang Changkong merged with the world and didn't rush to show himself. A few hours later, Liangqiu Xuanyi finally arrived. She entered the valley in a suit of armor. Liangqiu Xuanyi, is Jiang Changkong here yet? There was a fluctuation in the void, and a martial artist appeared. It was Xing Ming, an old acquaintance. Jiang Changkong was slightly surprised. Budokai really had a lot of resources. They could even cure someone who had been beaten into an idiot. He's here. With his speed, he'll be here soon, Liangqiu Xuanyi said. Liangqiu Xuanyi, you really don't want anything for killing Jiang Changkong. There was a fluctuation in the void, and a martial artist appeared. Another familiar face, Shui Wujiang. Xuanyi wants him dead, Liangqiu Xuanyi said coldly. With a cold voice, Liangqiu Xuanyi said, Everyone, I've spent a great deal of effort in order to lure him over. You must not disappoint me. Don't worry. With the treasured land provided by Miss Xuanyi, Jiang Changkong won't survive this time. Voices could be heard coming from the void. All right, he's coming. Everyone, be careful. After saying that, Liangqiu Xuanyi's armor shone and merged with the void. Xing Ming and the others also quickly merged with the void and disappeared. Jiang Changkong knew it was time for him to show up. Chapter 352. Appearing out of thin air, Jiang Changkong descended from the sky and landed on the ground. As if he was unaware of what was happening, he asked, Liangqiu Xuanyi, where's your gift? After that, he stepped into the valley. No one responded. The valley was dead silent. Jiang Changkong's brows suddenly furrowed. Boundless stellar energy burst forth, causing the earth to crack, the valley to collapse, and the void to tremble. "Come out!" Dust billowed as he took a step forward, causing the entire valley to tremble. Buzz! Silhouettes were forced out from the sky by a powerful force. "Jiang Changkong, today will be the day you die." With a cold roar, Xingguang made the first move and slashed down. A torrential flood swept out as the azure pearl unleashed its power. Shui Wujiang had also made his move. Gu Yinyu and Xiu Yun opened the soul labyrinth once again. "A bunch of losers. Who gave you the courage to face me again?" Jiang Changkong harumphed as a formless force swept across the valley. Rumble. When the starlight dissipated, silhouettes were sent flying and the weaker ones exploded. Starlight filled the sky as Jiang Changkong stood at the center with his hands behind his back. "Liangxiu Xuani, is this your gift?" "It's not just that. Young Master Jiang, experience it well," Liangxiu Xuani said. Rumble. The ground trembled as the runes of a star formation appeared with a unique aura. Dao Aura, a top-grade killing formation. Jiang Changkong had a look of astonishment on his face. From the looks of it, this looked like an incomplete peak-grade killing array. The Dao charm of this array was even stronger than his. Young Master Jiang has a good eye. This is a natural trap, a top-grade killing formation. Although it's incomplete, it's more complete than the god-slaughtering formation that you know. Liangxiu Xuani said, "Most importantly, there's a trace of the Dao here. A trace of the Dao, the symbol of the starry Dao, the symbol of a top-grade killing formation. Although it was only a trace, it could cause irreparable damage to starry sky cultivators or even kill them." Kill. Many star martial artists appeared and infused their star power into the top-grade killing array. A strong wind blew and a tornado soared into the sky. A wisp of azure Dao light was faintly visible. A unique oppressive aura swept across the area. Everything in front of him turned into wind, turned into a great Dao of stars. An ancient and boundless aura assaulted Jiang Changkong's mind. The great Dao that seemed to have existed since the beginning of time bloomed with supreme, killing intent. Although their star powers were different and they were unable to unleash the full power of the killing array, under the leadership of a few wind elemental star martial artists, the power of the array was so strong that martial artists who had not comprehended the great Dao would die. As for Astral Radiance and the others, they set up the God Killer formation once more. What a pity. This trace of the great Dao brand has been wasted by you. Jiang Changkong sighed lightly as he released his monstrous vital energy. His vital energy shot into the sky as the mark of the great Dao appeared between his brows. Dense Dao rhymes circulated as the 8 power patterns vibrated. A ferocious aura emanated from Jiang Changkong's body. It was like a ferocious beast that had walked out from the primeval times, and its enormous pressure was only slightly weaker than the grand Dao of wind here. Rumble. His body expanded as a 30-zhang golden body appeared. Roar. The power patterns howled as the ferocious aura became even more terrifying. A monstrous primeval beast came from the primeval times. The great Dao of force. At this moment, everyone's expression changed as they were somewhat dumbfounded. This was the great Dao of force. When did Jiang Changkong comprehend it? Wasn't it said that only Jiang Changyue comprehended the great Dao of moon? Liangxiu Xuani was shocked and could no longer remain calm. She had previously reminded Jiang Changkong to call Jiang Changyue. Jiang Changkong said that he could handle it himself. She was initially a little worried, but now she could worry that Jiang Changkong would turn hostile and kill her. A true peerless genius. His strength doubled as his Dao rhymes circulated, and a formless force spread across the entire valley. Rumble. Heaven and earth shook as the ground crumbled. The mark of the great Dao of wind directly exploded and dissipated. When the power reached its peak, everything became nothing. The great Dao of force surged out, shaking heaven and earth. Everything disappeared, and the top-grade killing array was destroyed. The near-deity killing array exploded in a breath's time. Starlight, who bore the brunt of the attack, stiffened with a horrified expression. Then, it turned into specks of dust and vanished. The other cultivators were the same. Before Jiang Chankong's strength, they were as fragile as paper. Crack! Shattering sounds rang out as spatial equipment left one after another. Astral crystals and other items fell and turned into dust. Damn, Jiang Chankong himself was stunned. What's going on? Did I run out of astral crystals? Shouldn't these spatial equipment be very sturdy? They shouldn't be damaged. After a long time, the energy dissipated. The entire valley had been razed to the ground. Aside from Liangxiu Xuani, all the other cultivators had vanished. Liangxiu Xuani's battle armor cracked, and blood flowed continuously. She clenched her teeth and said, "Don't you recognize others? Don't you know how to hold back? I thought that this place was very strong, so I used my full power." Jiang Chankong felt somewhat embarrassed. He had already held back, not even using his astral bodies to bully them. Who knew that they would be so weak? In that case, I'll have to trouble you to retract the energy you left in my body, Liangxiu Xuani said angrily. Only then did Jiang Chankong notice that Liangxiu Xuani still had a trace of energy and a tiny bit of Tao. With this Tao, she could not recover unless she got rid of it. If one wanted to get rid of the Tao, they would have to be like him, someone who comprehended the astral great Tao. With a wave of his hand, the Tao vanished. Jiang Chankong's body returned to normal. Then, he started to collect astral crystals. What a loss! What a loss! If I had known, I would have fought slowly. Liangxiu Xuani's lips twitched. You're still concerned about astral crystals at a time like this? Jiang Chankong felt very depressed. The rank 8 astral crystals had all turned into dust. There were no inferior rank 9 astral crystals left. Only superior rank 9 astral crystals remained intact. However, there were not many superior rank 9 astral crystals either. What a sin! I need close to 30 million astral crystals to improve a martial art now. How am I supposed to live? Can you stop feeling sad? Liangxiu Xuani's lips twitched. She had the urge to strangle Jiang Chankong. Isn't it just some astral crystals? You're already so strong and have so many territories. Why do you care about this bit of astral crystals? You'll never understand the pain of the poor. Jiang Chankong hammered his forehead. I need to reflect on myself and remember this mistake. I'll be gentler in the future. Although these cultivators were all experts and did not have many rank 8 astral crystals or inferior rank 9 astral crystals, they were still vital. Liangxiu Xuani, I'm so angry. If I had such strength, I wouldn't care about this bit of astral crystals. No, what you want is not here. After Gu Yinyu and the others died, they did not drop out. Liangxiu Xuani frowned. Jiang Chankong raised his head. His heart ached even more. Maybe the ethereal immortal palace took it away in advance. Sigh, what an unlucky year. All right, are you still going to that place? Liangxiu Xuani could not stand it anymore. She felt like she was about to go crazy because of Jiang Chankong. Of course. How? Let me count first. How many astral crystals do I have? Jiang Chankong asked as he began to count. Liangxiu Xuani could not stand it anymore. She sent a powerful palm strike into the valley. The ground split open, and a spatial rift appeared, swallowing the two of them. Boom! All of a sudden, a green sword light shot over, blocking the path of the two of them. A green rope wrapped around the two of them and directly dragged them out. A wild laughter rang out. Jiang Chankong, I've caught you now. Liangxiu Xuani, are you sure you're serious? You might have caught a father. It's true. Chapter 353. Jiang Chankong was dumbfounded. He was counting his star crystals when he was dragged out of the spatial crack. A green rope was tying him and Liangxiu Xuani together. He sensed that the green rope was full of cracks, and there were star formation patterns shining inside. This rope was no less than half of Shui Wujiang's pearl, an incomplete top-grade weapon. After comprehending the Great Tao mark and seeing the Great Tao formation, Jiang Chankong felt that these things were trash. They didn't even have a trace of Tao presence. and their essence had already dissipated. It was no problem for them to tie up ordinary peak stars. To him, who had comprehended the great Tao of force and great Tao of moon, this was no different from an ordinary rope. He was curious about what this guy was trying to do. Feng Qixing, Jiang Changkong, you're finally in my hands. Feng Qixing didn't have his usual calmness. He placed his hands on his waist and said arrogantly, Immortal Palace, Liangqiu Xuani, little girl, how do you know that there's an aureole behind you? Looking at Liangqiu Xuani proudly, Feng Qixing felt that he had achieved something. He had captured the strongest person below the peak stars, someone that even the Immortal Palace couldn't catch. Liangqiu Xuani looked at him expressionlessly. Are you sick in the head? Didn't you watch the battle just now before you made your move? Ah, little girl, you're still too inexperienced. Feng Qixing walked around the two of them and clicked his tongue. I already knew about the peak grand formation in the valley, including the spatial crack. Ever since you and Jiang Changkong were discussing this, I've been planning to be the aureole. So what are you trying to do? Jiang Changkong blinked and asked curiously. Jiang Changkong, don't be afraid. I won't hurt you. Of course, don't even think about running. This rope is an incomplete Star Dao weapon. Although it has lost the Great Dao mark, it's still made of extraordinary material. Feng Qixing regained his composure. He hugged his sword and said with a hint of arrogance, Even if you have a strong foundation, you won't be able to break free if you don't know the Great Dao. Cut the crap. Tell me your purpose, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Qixing's face blossomed into a wide smile. The first reason is obviously to get close to the godly treasures. The second reason is to follow me. Near divine treasure? What do you mean? Jiang Changkong was puzzled. Feng Qixing flipped his hand, and a palm-sized, six-floored palace appeared. As soon as the palace appeared, it began to shake, and Jiang Changkong's body began to emit a misty light. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed, countless roots extending out. However, the green rope emitted starlight and sealed the soul-stabilizing tree. Why is this thing in your hands? The soul-anchoring tree is indeed with you. The two of them spoke at the same time. Feng Qixing had a trace of excitement in his voice. Before we started, I killed someone from the Immortal Palace. I only wanted to eavesdrop on some news when I joined the astral team. I didn't expect to learn about a treasure that was close to a god. Feng Qixing didn't hide anything. To him, he already had Jiang Changkong in the bag. He was extremely lucky this time. He obtained a treasure that was close to a god and even caught Jiang Changkong. He had been paying attention to the news of a treasure that was close to a god. He didn't expect Gu Yanyu and the others to send it back to the Immortal Palace. He followed them all the way and killed the people from the Immortal Palace to obtain the palace. Don't worry. When I get the treasure, I will give you a share. Feng Qixing patted his chest and promised, I'm not like those bastards from the Immortal Palace. You're the one who gives away wealth. Jiang Changkong sighed. He was very excited. I thought I couldn't get the palace, but you gave it to me? Thank you so much. What do you mean? Feng Qixing was stunned. Crack, crack. A special aura emanated from Jiang Changkong's body, and the power mark on his forehead appeared. A unique Taoist rhyme circulated. The green rope couldn't withstand it and cracked inch by inch. Who told you that I don't understand the Tao? Jiang Changkong laughed coldly. He raised his hand, and the green rope shattered. He grabbed Feng Qixing. What the F***? Feng Qixing cried out in shock and ran outside. This was a freaking pervert. He clearly didn't understand the Tao, but he went into seclusion for half a year. When he came out, he understood the Tao of power. Didn't they say that you only cultivate the foundation and not the Tao? If you continue like this, you won't need 100 years to reach the top. You'll be able to do it in a few years, right? However, before he could run a few steps, Feng Qixing's neck tightened. He was lifted by Jiang Changkong. The six-story palace in his hand fell and was caught by Jiang Changkong. The soul-stabilizing tree spread out. Countless roots wrapped around the palace and went deep into every floor. Changkong, Brother Jiang, do a good deed and pretend that nothing happened. Let's go our separate ways, okay? Feng Qixing's face twitched. He shouldn't have accepted this mission. This palace is close to divine treasures, Jiang Changkong said with a smile. It's all Brother Kong's. I came here this time to be the boy of wealth, Feng Qi Xing said seriously. Where did you say you were bringing me? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. I'm just sincerely inviting Brother Kong to be a guest at my house. I have no other intentions. Feng Qi Xing had a sincere look, and his eyes were filled with pleading. Lianxiu Xuanyi stood up. Your house? The void is so big. Where is your house? Jiang Changkong nodded. Miss Xuanyi is right. Where is your house? Since you invited me to be a guest, tell me a place. I'll prepare a gift and go there personally. Feng Qi Xing's lips twitched. You prepared a gift? You're probably going to get a bunch of people to raise my place, right? Countless routes appeared in Jiang Changkong's mind. The six-story maze also appeared in his mind. After thinking for a while, Jiang Changkong poured a stream of star power into Feng Qi Xing's body and sealed his cultivation. Help me look after him. I'll take a look at this thing first. Jiang Changkong handed Feng Qi Xing over to Lianxiu Xuanyi and sat down with his legs crossed. He held the six-story palace with both hands and began exploring its secrets. Come with me. Lianxiu Xuanyi carried Feng Qi Xing and walked to the side. Sister, we're all friends. Let's peace dash bang. After losing his cultivation, Feng Qi Xing was slapped to the ground by Lianxiu Xuanyi. Lianxiu Xuanyi took out his sword and slowly pulled it out. A weapon that has lost its Dao branding must have been an impressive top-tier divine armament, right? Good eyes, ah. Feng Qi Xing struggled to his feet, but before he could stabilize himself, his own sword had already pierced through him. Lianxiu Xuanyi's expression was calm. It was impossible to tell if she was happy or angry. Just like that, she stabbed him again and again. She didn't ask him anything. She just stabbed him. Feng Qi Xing felt that he was out of luck. Forget about Jiang Changkong. This Lianxiu Xuanyi was simply a lunatic. Jiang Changkong sank into the six-story palace, and his soul entered the maze. The soul-stabilizing tree guided the way, and Jiang Changkong moved quickly. In the boundless darkness, there was a hidden door that led to a higher floor. Jiang Changkong walked in the maze and recorded the formations. The six-story maze was much weaker than the six-story Immortal Palace. The fourth floor could only trap Pinnacle Star Realm experts, but not Star Path martial artists. The fifth floor had an additional trace of Dao aura in the Soul Maze. Soul Great Dao branding. Jiang Changkong didn't stop. With the soul-stabilizing tree, the maze wasn't dangerous, and he easily entered the sixth floor. The sixth floor had more Dao aura, but only a few traces. Jiang Changkong didn't know how strong Star Path martial artists were. He only knew that if he didn't have the soul-stabilizing tree, he shouldn't even think about the sixth floor. Even if it couldn't trap him, the maze could transfer treasures, making it impossible to find them. In the darkness, a tree branch appeared in front of him. The soul-stabilizing tree branch. This was the final item, the item that would guide him to the divine treasury. Jiang Changkong's soul power came into contact with the tree branch. The tree branch turned into liquid and merged with his soul-stabilizing tree. The soul-stabilizing tree in his body grew rapidly, growing at a visible speed. Chapter 354. The soul-stabilizing tree grew rapidly and gave him a lot of information. There was no specific location for the treasure, but there was a star rune marking that could guide him there. After that, it was the method to use the six-story maze. It was also a top-tier weapon that could trap Star Path cultivators once it was activated. As for killing them, it was impossible. Furthermore, without sufficient strength, one would not be able to trap them for long. As time passed, the Dao aura here had mostly been erased. After a period of time, the Dao aura would disappear completely, and Star Path cultivators would be able to find it after spending some time. Before the Dao aura disappeared, Star Path cultivators would not be able to leave the maze, let alone find the treasure. The star rune marking also contained some information on how to open the treasure. The soul-stabilizing tree was required to open the treasure, and even searching for the treasure required the soul-stabilizing tree's cooperation. After entering the treasure, the six-story palace would be of great use. After digesting the information, Jiang Changkong exited the maze. The soul-stabilizing tree had finished growing. It was 3 meters tall. Although it was still a distance away from 9 meters, it was already a huge improvement. As the soul-stabilizing tree swayed, Jiang Changkong's soul became more stable. With the star rune marking, a special feeling was transmitted into his mind, guiding him forward. Roar! All of a sudden, a roar came from outside the cave. Whoosh! The sound of a river flowing could be heard as waves soared into the sky, emitting a pungent smell. The entire cave trembled as countless rocks fell down. Jiang Changkong suddenly opened his eyes and appeared at the entrance of the cave. An earthy yellow river emitting a pungent smell surged over. Only then did he notice that he was in a cave on a cliff. The walls were smooth and glossy. On the opposite side, 3,000 meters away, there was also a smooth stone wall, as if the ground had been sliced open. A wide river was formed in the middle. The earthy yellow river surged forward, emitting a pungent smell that even Jiang Changkong found unbearable. What happened? Liang Xiaoshuani dragged Feng Qixing to the entrance of the cave. Whoosh! The river soared into the sky, and some of the water splashed onto the trio. Jiang Changkong's power rune marking appeared, and the river water evaporated. Sizzle! Black smoke rose from the back of Liang Xiaoshuani's hand, emitting a foul stench. The back of her hand was rapidly rotting. Liang Xiaoshuani's expression changed. Her sword slashed out and directly sliced off the rotten flesh. Feng Qixing was in an even worse state. His entire body was rotting. Jiang Changkong, quickly release my power! Feng Qixing anxiously shouted. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and the rotten flesh disappeared. Then, the power of the sacred sun poured into their bodies. A rich life force quickly healed their injuries. Changkong, your comprehension of extreme yang star power has become even more profound, Liang Xiaoshuani praised. Let me go, or I'll die. Feng Qixing cried out anxiously. Die? What exactly is this yellow river? It can actually stimulate my great Tao. Jiang Changkong brought the two of them back into the cave. He looked at the place where they were standing before and said, and it's useless against this stone? What yellow river? This is the corpse river, the yellow spring. Feng Qixing's expression turned gloomy. A trace of fear appeared in his eyes. Unless one comprehended a great Tao, no living being can resist this thing. Corpse river? Yellow spring? Why haven't I heard of it before? Jiang Changkong frowned. Liang Xiaoshuani continued. The ethereal palace has records of the yellow spring. It has always been in the depths of the void realm. Not many people know about it. Rumor has it that the yellow spring flows on its own. However, the yellow spring does not normally move unless someone alarmed it or it senses a large number of deaths. This is the depths of the void realm. You brought us here. Have you never thought of the yellow spring? Jiang Changkong's expression turned unsightly. The yellow spring is not nearby. This was originally just an ordinary cave. Feng Qixing's expression turned unsightly. We should be thousands of miles away from the yellow spring. The yellow spring should not have appeared here. The ethereal palace has records that there are 2 reasons for the yellow spring's formation. First, it is the accumulation of countless experts' corpses. Second, it is said that cultivators of the death Tao absorb corpse qi and slaughter living beings to refine the yellow spring. Liang Xiaoshuani's expression turned cold. Regardless of which reason it is, those who do not comprehend a great Tao will definitely die when a yellow spring passes through. Feng Qixing, you really don't know. The yellow spring was still surging outside. Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing. I don't need to seek death, right? Feng Qixing said bitterly. Although my comprehension is profound, I have not comprehended a great Tao. You saw it earlier. Jiang Changkong frowned and let go of Feng Qixing. I can protect you, but isn't this yellow spring a little too big? How long had it been? They still hadn't reached this place, and it was still as majestic as ever. This yellow springs was simply unfathomable. It is indeed very big. If this yellow spring was refined by a cultivator, it would be at least a peak star Dao cultivator. Liangxiu Xuani's gaze turned grave. What I'm worried about now is that this yellow spring is the one in the mirage. That's the only one with such a scale. Feng Qixing recovered his power. His expression turned grave. We will be fine if we hide in the cave. As I said earlier, there are only two possibilities for the yellow spring to run. Liangxiu Xuani said gravely. A large number of deaths have alarmed someone. Feng Qixing's expression sank. For this yellow spring, unless it involves tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of living beings, no deaths can be considered a large number. In that case, it can only be alarmed, Jiang Changkong said with a frown. Could be a peak cultivator? According to them, only peak cultivators like him, who comprehended a trace of a great Tao, could possibly alarm the yellow spring. But why would the yellow spring run in this direction? Liangxiu Xuani could no longer remain calm. Could it be a coincidence? Roar! A roar rang out again, and the river water splashed. Within the flickering light, it suddenly turned black. A huge eyeball blocked the cave entrance and stared at them. Oh no, it's a netherworld dragon. Feng Qixing was horrified. The yellow spring has given birth to a netherworld dragon. Jiang Changkong's expression sank. This netherworld dragon gave him great pressure. The huge eyeball quickly disappeared. The netherworld dragon did not kill them. Instead, it ran past them. Jiang Changkong quickly rushed out of the cave entrance and saw a 300-meter-long dragon flying in the sky above the yellow spring, stirring it up from time to time. The gray dragon's body seemed real and illusory at the same time. It emitted a cold and sinister aura of death. The soul-stabilizing tree trembled violently. Countless roots looked like they were about to break out of the tree and swallow the netherworld dragon. It had a camel-like head, no horns, and 2 lumps on its head. Its body was like a snake covered in scales. It had 4 legs and sharp claws. This is a freaking flood dragon. Didn't they say that there are no fiends? Why did this flood dragon appear? Jiang Changkong stared at the netherworld dragon. The netherworld dragon sensed him and turned to look at him. It roared and dove into the yellow spring. Are you tired of living? Feng Qixing and Liangxiu Xuani came to his side and pulled him in. I've broadened my horizons today. I can actually see a flood dragon. Jiang Changkong took a deep breath and said, I even saw the yellow spring. Can anyone tell me if hell is real or not? We should be glad that this netherworld dragon did not attack us. This netherworld dragon is probably comparable to a peak cultivator, Feng Qixing said. It's probably not even a peak cultivator yet. Jiang Changkong shook his head. He felt that he could take down this netherworld dragon by himself. If it reached the peak, the pressure on him would be even greater. Chapter 355. Jiang Changkong felt that his worldview was collapsing. He needed to get to know this new world. First, there was the lunar immortal palace. He saw the jade toad and the moon cassia tree. There was also the sun immortal palace. There might be the golden crow and the phoenix. Now, there was the yellow spring and the abyss dragon. He felt that he could accept it. You can explain now. Jiang Changkong looked at the two. Aren't you going to give me an explanation? The universe is boundless. Don't be surprised if anything happens, Feng Qixing said. In this world, other than humans and the star demon, there are other species. They just haven't shown up yet. Now is not the time to discuss this. The yellow spring passed through, and no living beings exist. That abyss dragon didn't kill us. There must be something wrong. Liangxiu Xuani said, it's possible that there are even more powerful things behind. What an unlucky year. Jiang Changkong frowned. He quickly wrapped the two and merged with the world. In the next moment, a middle-aged man appeared. He looked at the cave suspiciously, but found nothing. What are you looking at? Hurry up. Don't get lost. A young man appeared and urged. I sensed 2 people here just now. They suddenly disappeared. The middle-aged man frowned. A late-stage star body and an early-stage star embryo. You're thinking too much. Why would late-stage star body and early-stage star embryo appear here? Also, how could they hide from us? The young man smiled. Let's go. Don't delay important matters. Maybe I'm thinking too much. After saying that, the middle-aged man turned and left. The two left. Jiang Chongkong did not appear. A quarter of an hour later, the two men reappeared. Looking at the empty cave, they left again. After waiting for another half an hour and confirming that the two had left, the void rippled, and they came out of the cave. The yellow spring had already left. The two men followed it. Those two are the top candidates of the Immortal Palace. Rumor has it that they have comprehended a trace of the star Great Tao. Liang Xiaoshuani said calmly. The two of them are still unable to drive that abyss dragon away. Jiang Chongkong's expression darkened. Those two could not even pressure him. How could they deal with the abyss dragon? Maybe he has a treasure in his hand. Feng Qixing explained. He took a few steps forward and opened his arms. Jiang Chongkong, welcome to the depths of the Void Realm, a whole new world. I heard that the depths of the Void Realm are filled with powerful star demon. It's very difficult for humans to set foot there, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Jiang Chongkong's expression turned slightly cold. He looked around at the countless mountains, dense forests, and lush weeds. It was a primitive landscape with no traces of human life. How can they imagine the depths of the Void Realm? Feng Qixing sneered. He looked to Liang Xiaoshuani. The Immortal Palace has been here for a very long time. However, they only have a smattering of knowledge. What a smattering of knowledge. You make it sound like you know a lot. Liang Xiaoshuani glared at him with a trace of coldness in her eyes. Speaking of which, I stabbed you 1355 times, and you called me 1485 3 times, yet you still didn't tell me why you came. Feng Qixing, you were still counting when you stabbed me? Jiang Chongkong once again got to know Liang Xiaoshuani. She was also a ruthless person. However, that guy was too stubborn. He did not tell her where he came from even after being stabbed so many times. Feng Qixing's expression turned slightly ugly. He changed the topic and said, Next, don't be surprised by anything you see. Jiang Chongkong pondered and said, I can almost accept it now. Back then, I met the Flower Sea Queen. Her true form should be a flower. The Flower Sea Queen was rumored to be the most beautiful flower in the starry sky. When she bloomed, the entire starry sky lit up. Feng Qixing's eyes lit up and said, The soul-killing array you learned is from the Flower Sea Queen, right? Yes. Tell me about the situation here in the Yellow Spring just now. I plan to go and take a look, said Jiang Chongkong. Do you want to die? You saw the Abyss Dragon's strength and the people from the Immortal Palace. Feng Qixing's expression changed slightly. It's precisely because there are people from the Immortal Palace that I want to go. Jiang Chongkong's expression turned cold. If it's only those two pieces of trash, I'll just kill them. The two of them opened their mouths, but had no choice. Jiang Chongkong said to follow, so they could only follow. There are few people in the depths of the Void Realm. Some starry sky species have survived. There are many powerful star demon here. It could even be said that the star demon's force is the strongest here. Feng Qixing said, but in terms of individual strength, the star demon's strength is not necessarily the strongest. What about the Immortal Palace? Jiang Chongkong asked. It can be considered a powerful force. Feng Qixing said casually. It seemed that he did not care about the Immortal Palace. You're from the depths of the Void Realm. What force do you belong to? Jiang Chongkong asked. Lord Jiang, please don't ask me where I'm from. If you're willing, I can bring you there. At most, I'll bring Liang Xiaoshuani. Feng Qixing looked at Liang Xiaoshuani and said, If there's a chance in the future, I'll go there, Jiang Chongkong said indifferently. Forget it for now. He was not at the top level yet. The force that could teach Feng Qixing definitely had top-level martial artists. The genius who defeated the prodigy back then had probably stepped into the top level. The Immortal Palace has been active in the depths of the Void Realm for so many years, but they are very wise and did not act rashly. Feng Qixing said with a hint of arrogance, The forces in the depths of the Void Realm may not be able to fight against the Federation, but destroying the Immortal Palace is still a piece of cake. You're quite confident. Do you know the Immortal Palace's strength? Are there any people who are close to the gods? Jiang Chongkong sneered. Feng Qixing looked a little embarrassed. They're not top-level martial artists. Not top-level martial artists? Do I even need you? I can do it myself, Jiang Changkong said disdainfully. Without top-level martial artists, he could flatten the immortal palace by himself. Feng Qixing was speechless. You're amazing. You're amazing. I won't say any more, all right? The immortal palace has records in the depths of the void realm that there are some galactic species living there, as well as traces of humans. Liangqiu Xuani's expression changed slightly. However, they did not find any traces of humans, and top-level martial artists could not detect them either. It seems that you guys have hidden very well. I'm more curious. Are you an earthling or a remnant of the universe? Jiang Changkong's eyes glowed with a cold light, and there was a faint murderous intent in them. You're not thinking of killing me, are you? Feng Qixing looked flustered. Why was Jiang Changkong a little temperamental? They were having a good conversation, so why did he suddenly have murderous intent? Jiang Changkong's expression changed into a smile. You're thinking too much. Let's go. If he was a remnant of the universe, then he really did not want to stay. What was the point of spying on Earth, hiding so deeply, and even plotting against him? However, he had to figure out first. If he harbored ill intentions, then he would destroy them all when he had the strength. Back then, there were too many things scattered in the universe. Even the star demon could come over, so it was not impossible for him to bring some other creatures. What he was most worried about was the old monster's reincarnation. I don't know where we are now, and how far away we are from where we're going, Liangqiu Xuani said. Chapter 356. After Feng Qixing intervened, Liangqiu Xuani ran deep into the void realm and lost her direction. They could not go to the Immortal Palace's location for the time being. The research materials could only be retrieved later. The people from the Immortal Palace appeared nearby and drove the yellow spring away. The place we're going should not be far from here, Jiang Changkong said after some thought. Feng Qixing curled his lips and said, Why don't you ask me? I know. You know where we're going? Liangqiu Xuani frowned. I'm familiar with this place. I basically know the Immortal Palace's stronghold in the Void Realm, Feng Qixing said. You're really a living map. Liangqiu Xuani snorted, her eyes filled with coldness. All right, stop talking. Let's take a look first. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and brought them into the world. They had already caught up. The yellow spring passed by. The ground did not change, but some living creatures were different. Some weaker star demon were drowned by the yellow spring and turned into corpse water. The abyss dragon controlled the yellow spring, and everywhere it passed, life was gone. Even the weeds and trees turned into liquid and merged with the yellow spring. Some star demon corpses also merged with it, not even leaving a piece of skin behind. The corrosive power of the yellow spring corpse water could not be resisted without a great downmark. Dense golden light shone, and a golden crow appeared, emitting raging flames. Roar! The abyss dragon roared and looked at the golden crow in fear. It ran even faster. The golden crow drove the abyss dragon away. Although it's not a real golden crow, it's still a 10th grade treasure. It's enough to make the abyss dragon panic. Liangqiu Xuani explained calmly. The golden crow circled in the sky, sometimes flying to the left and sometimes flying forward, driving the abyss dragon away. The golden crow circulated a dense Dao rhyme. It was much stronger than Jiang Changkong's great Dao mark. A complete 10th grade treasure. The golden crow was definitely a complete 10th grade treasure. Otherwise, it would not be able to drive the abyss dragon away and would not have such a dense Dao rhyme. Where are they driving the yellow spring to? Jiang Changkong was a little confused. The people from Celestial Palace kept driving the abyss dragon to change directions. It was obvious that they had already arranged the abyss dragon's whereabouts. The yellow spring has always remained in its lair and has not moved for several decades. What is the Immortal Palace planning to do? Liangqiu Xuani was also puzzled. That direction, could it be that they've discovered that place? Feng Qixing's expression changed as he exclaimed, Where? Jiang Changkong frowned. An underground ancient battlefield. There is a great tomb there, and a star saint was once buried there. Feng Qixing said with a solemn expression. Although so many years have passed, and there aren't many Star Saints Great Tao Seals left. Their might is still terrifying. Star Sage's treasure. No wonder. Jiang Changkong suddenly realized, these people want to rob the tomb. Lord Jiang, I think it's best if we don't get involved. Feng Qixing shook his head. That place is too dangerous. Without any special methods, even Star Dao will die there. You, or the person behind you, have never been tempted by that Star Sage's tomb? Jiang Changkong asked in disbelief. If they have never been tempted, how would they know that place is dangerous? Liang Xiaoshuani said calmly. In my opinion, they suffered a great loss there. Feng Qixing had an awkward expression. Indeed, a Star Dao is severely injured there, so I advise you not to go in. Since we're already here, let's go in and take a look. Jiang Changkong would not retreat just like that. Who knew how many treasures a Star Sage had? Should he not go in just because the Star Dao was heavily injured? Then he would not go to the Lunar Immortal Palace. Back then, a Star Dao was also severely injured there. Feng Qixing could only feel helpless since he could not persuade Jiang Changkong. The yellow spring continued running and soon arrived at a small mountain. The fetid river water flooded the small mountain, and the underworld dragon roared softly. Rumble! The small mountain trembled and exploded, and a large amount of river water poured in. The underworld dragon rode the yellow spring and rushed down. The small mountain was actually empty, and the tomb of that Star Sage was inside. Screech! The golden crow cried, and two men appeared, riding on the golden crow, and swooped down. The yellow spring had already poured in, and the underworld dragon had already disappeared. The two men and the golden crow also entered the small mountain. A huge pit appeared in front of the three, and Jiang Changkong led the two in. Why did they bring the yellow spring here? Jiang Changkong asked. First, to use the yellow spring to break through the dangers here, and a second, to find the corpse. Liang Xiaoshuani analyzed. The yellow spring and the underworld dragon have a special sense for corpses and can find the corpse of that Star Sage immediately. Feng Qixing nodded and said, Star Sage cultivators are extremely powerful, and their corpses are protected by the Great Tao brand. Before the Great Tao brand dissipates, the corpse will not decay. Jiang Changkong nodded. Some killing formations still had the Great Tao brand after so many years. Star Sage cultivators had deeper and denser Great Tao brand, and it had dissipated for a longer time. Using the underworld dragon to control the yellow spring to find the corpse and rob the tomb was a good idea. After entering the mountain, there was a vast space. It was an ancient and huge city with hundreds of meters tall walls and star formations in every corner. There were all kinds of ancient buildings in the city, and there was a huge palace in the center. The city is a tomb. Jiang Changkong was slightly surprised. The yellow spring underworld dragon had already entered the city, and the two of them had rushed in with the golden crow. The city gates were already open, and the star formations on the city walls had lost some of their power. Someone had come to this Star Sage tomb before. Creatures are coming. Don't make a sound. Jiang Changkong sensed that someone was approaching, so he told the two of them to hide. The air fluctuated, and a few star demon appeared. Seeing the city gates open, they rushed in without hesitation. Jiang Changkong also entered the city with the two of them. The ancient city even had star formations on the ground. Unfortunately, too much time had passed, and these star formations had lost much of their power. The yellow spring and the golden crow had already entered the city, and no one knew where they went. The star demon had also split up to search. Feng Qixing, you know this place well. Tell us, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. I don't know much either. I only know that no matter where we go, there will be danger. Feng Qixing sighed and said, Furthermore, the palace in the center is the most dangerous. There are some treasures there. My sword was taken from the palace by an elder. Isn't the corpse in the palace? Jiang Changkong asked. No. Until now, no one has found the corpse of the Star Sage. With your strength, it's not a problem for you to be in danger, as long as you don't go to the palace. Feng Qixing said in a deep voice, Also, we can wait patiently and be the Oriole. Don't be the Oriole. Jiang Changkong patted Feng Qixing's shoulder and was about to choose a random direction. Let's follow the yellow spring. A stone emitting a misty yellow light appeared in Liangqiu Xuani's hand. This is the yellow spring stone, refined by the Immortal Palace? Feng Qixing was slightly surprised. You have a lot of good stuff. I can't compare to you. I can only take some small items from the Immortal Palace. After saying that, Liangqiu Xuani held the yellow spring stone, found the direction, and led them forward. The yellow spring stone could sense the location of the yellow spring and guide them to it. Chapter 357. Star Sacred Warriors were second only to gods. Jiang Chankong really wanted to know how many good things there were in this Star Sacred tomb. Roar! The nether dragon roared. The monstrous river surged, and a strong stench came again. The star arrays bloomed with starlight, but they were directly corroded by the yellow spring. The nether dragon roared. Are they going to the central palace? Jiang Chankong led the two of them to the yellow spring. The star demon also gathered and headed to the central palace. The star array opened, and starlight blocked Jiang Chankong's path. The great Tao of force appeared. Everywhere it passed, starlight shattered, and the path of the star array on the ground disappeared. Feng Qixing was shocked. The great Tao of force. Hurry up and cultivate the power of the moon. You really think too much. Jiang Chankong glanced at him and said coldly, If you give me 100 million rank 9 star crystals, I will consider cultivating the power of the moon. Feng Qixing, shut up. 100 million rank 9 star crystals, how dare you think? There weren't many rank 9 star crystals in a large mine, and you actually dare to ask for 100 million? Rumble. The power of the stars was vast, and the river water soared into the sky. The entire city shook. The nether dragon roared, and the stinky yellow spring hit the star array. Buildings collapsed, and the ground cracked. The group of star demon hurriedly moved away from the nether dragon. The two men from the celestial palace had already merged with heaven and earth and hid. They didn't use the golden crow treasure either. They let the nether dragon destroy the city and resist the star array. They didn't make a move. The star demon also hid far away. The nether dragon didn't care who you were, and it might attack you when it saw you. Jiang Chankong didn't go out either. He was waiting for the nether dragon to find the corpse of the Star Sacred Warrior. It seems like they all want to be the Oriole, Feng Qixing said in a low voice. Liangqiu Xuani's expression was calm. The people from a celestial palace aren't idiots. If the commotion is too big, it will definitely attract the nearby star demon. The star demon also knows that there are people in the dark, but they won't give up this opportunity. We've searched the place many times, but we couldn't find the carcass. The abyss dragons are professionals, so there should be no problem this time, Jiang Chankong said. Someone needs to deal with the abyss dragons or chase them away. Let's take a look first. I have a feeling that it is not so simple. Feng Qixing frowned and said, A place that can heavily injure the star Tao is very dangerous. Jiang Chankong and Liangqiu Xuani did not refute. What Feng Qixing said was the truth. Rumble. As the abyss dragon went berserk, the entire city shook even more violently. Jiang Chankong looked at the abyss dragon. It did not attack the palace. Instead, it intentionally avoided it. It was attacking the ground near the palace. Could it be that the grave of the star Saint martial artist was next to the palace? A large number of buildings collapsed, and the water of the yellow spring spread, almost occupying half of the city. Roar! The nether dragon roared. The stinky yellow spring corroded the star formation, and its huge dragon tail whipped the ground. Rumble. Crack. The star formation finally couldn't bear the burden anymore and cracked open. The ground began to crack. Boom! A beam of green light shot into the sky, illuminating the entire city. Roar! The powerful abyss dragon was also thrown out by the impact. It roared repeatedly at the green light. The yellow spring gathered and wrapped around the abyss dragon, corroding the surrounding star formation and star power. Buzz! The towering green light suddenly exploded and turned into rays of sword light. They radiated in all directions, covering the entire city. Moreover, Jiang Chankong felt that a special Taoist rhyme had directly locked onto him, making it impossible for him to dodge. Boom! The green sword light shot out at an extremely fast speed, almost reaching him in an instant. Jiang Changkong raised his palm. The Taoist rhyme of the force pattern flowed and met the sword light head-on. Clang! Crack! The fist and sword collided, tearing apart the terrifying defense. They drilled into Jiang Changkong's arm and crushed his bones. The sword light was extremely powerful. One after another, Jiang Changkong's expression changed. The Tai Chi celestial body manifested to deflect the force. Buzz! The sword light paused for a moment and its power weakened. However, it still pierced through Jiang Changkong's body. Tens of thousands of swords pierced through his body. Even Jiang Changkong found it hard to defend against the sword light that was imprinted with the Tao. Fortunately, the sword light was not endless. There was only one wave. He was still considered lucky. The bodies of the few star demons and the two people hidden in the dark exploded immediately. One or two star demon that had not comprehended the Tao were caught off guard. They were pierced through by the sword light and died. The abyss dragon hid in the yellow spring, but it still found it hard to defend against the sword light. A few of them pierced through its body. The Taoist rhyme in Jiang Changkong's body circulated and shattered the sword light. "Thank you, Lord Jiang," Liangxiu Xuani and Feng Qixing quickly said. If it wasn't for Jiang Changkong blocking the sword light and protecting them behind him, they would have died from the sword light. "It's fine. Fortunately, we're here and they're not focusing on us." Jiang Changkong heaved a sigh of relief. Earlier, the sword light attacked from all directions. If it had focused on them, he was not confident of protecting them. "Quickly consume it." Liangxiu Xuani took out a bottle of medicine and handed it to Jiang Changkong. "How do you have a Tier 10 medicine?" Feng Qixing said in shock. "Isn't this Liangxiu Xuani too rich?" Jiang Changkong was also surprised. However, he did not say anything. After consuming the medicine, the huge amount of medicine spread to his limbs and bones. The special Taoist rhyme was cleared, and his injuries recovered quickly. A Tier 10 medicine could already clear the Taoist rhyme. "I have many good things. In any case, they are from the Immortal Palace," Liangxiu Xuani said indifferently. He has fallen for so long, but the means he left behind are still so terrifying, as expected of a star sage. The two Immortal Palace cultivators recovered and consumed the medicine. Then, they looked at the place where the azure light was shining. There was a hole there. They did not know what was inside. After so many years, someone finally used the right method. The three-star demon looked at the hole greedily. The two people from the Immortal Palace frowned. Just as they were about to say something, something happened again. Roar! Splash! The abyss dragon roared. It stirred the yellow springs and wanted to rush into the hole. "Evil creature!" scram. The expressions of the two men from the Immortal Palace changed. They could not care about anything else. Two blazing sword lights slashed at the abyss dragon. The Taoist rhyme circulated and danger approached. The abyss dragon sensed it. It roared, and the yellow springs swept toward the two sword lights. "Evil creature, that is not a place you can enter." The three-star demon also shouted angrily and rushed at the abyss dragon. They did not forget about Jiang Changkong. "The three of you over there, if you don't want the abyss dragon to destroy all the treasures, hurry up and attack." Hearing that, Feng Qixing said in a low voice, "The abyss dragon will corrode the body. Some treasures will also be corroded." Jiang Changkong waved his hand. The power of the sacred sun enveloped the two men, and they rushed toward the hole. Roar! Facing the attack, the abyss dragon roared, and the Yellow Springs River swept toward all the experts present. The dragon swung its tail, and the death chi was released. It also contained a special soul energy. This abyss dragon was a soul body. Rumble! Sword light, fists, and sharp claws clashed with the Yellow Springs and the abyss dragon. Terrifying power surged and shook the surroundings. Poochie! Blood splattered, and the three-star demon were sent flying. The two Immortal Palace cultivators also vomited blood. What a strong beast! Jiang Changkong flew back with the two men. Although he did not vomit blood, he did not feel good either. The blood chi in his body surged. The abyss dragon's strength was actually not weaker than his. Black smoke rose from its body, and the power mark appeared to resist the corrosion of the yellow springs. Roar! The abyss dragon roared again. It actually ignored them and rushed toward the hole again. Scram! The two immortal palace cultivators shouted angrily. Their eyes shone with resplendent divine light, and a high temperature swept out. The abyss dragon seemed to think of something and stopped. The two immortal palace cultivators heaved a sigh of relief. Just as they were about to attack, the abyss dragon roared and rushed toward the hole. Chapter 358. Evil Creature. With an angry roar and a terrifyingly high temperature, the golden crow spread its wings. The two ethereal, immortal palace cultivators were thoroughly enraged. They had only unleashed a trace of their strength, yet they had not been able to scare off the abyss dragon. At this crucial moment, they had no other choice but to release the golden crow's treasure. A 10th grade treasure. The golden crow floated in the air, flapping its wings. The 3-star demon retreated and looked at the golden crow in shock. A 10th tier treasure. Star Tao level treasure. Dense Tao aura. Unfathomable power. Roar. The abyss dragon roared in unease. It no longer dared to charge into the pit and slowly retreated. Under the light of the golden crow, the stinking yellow spring sizzled and emitted thick black smoke. Since we've already taken it out, then everyone should be more tactful. This place belongs to our immortal palace. The two ethereal immortal palace cultivators showed proud expressions. Golden crows spread their wings above their heads, exuding a special might. A complete world treasure is indeed powerful, but it's not enough to make us retreat. The 3-star demon sneered. 3 broken weapons appeared above their heads. It was a broken sword that exuded a unique aura of the Tao. It shone with golden light and was incomparably sharp. Half a stone, as heavy as a mountain. It was the great Tao of earth. Half a spear, the aura of water, and the imprint of the great path were also not weak. The 3 damaged top-grade weapons all had remnant Tao auras. When they vibrated, even if they weren't as powerful as the golden crow, they still possessed great power. What about you? The two from the celestial palace looked at Jiang Changkong. The 3-star demon also looked at him, waiting for his answer. As for the abyss dragon, they temporarily ignored it. It was just a beast, and when it was time to attack, they would naturally deal with it first. It all depends on your own ability. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. He didn't want to stay in the immortal palace or the star demon. Then let's do it. The two warriors of the immortal palace shouted. The golden crow let out a long cry, and the power of the sun shone on the city. Wherever the sunlight passed, the scorching heat would be enough to roast an ordinary late-stage heavenly body realm cultivator. The 3-star demon wielded their incomplete weapons, and their attacks that contained Taoist rhymes descended at the same time. All the attacks were targeted at Jiang Changkong and the abyss dragon. You guys have gone overboard. Jiang Changkong didn't expect that these two parties would actually make a move against him first. Roar! The abyss dragon roared. It instinctively feared the golden crow, so it chose the 3-star demon. Looks like you also have spiritual intelligence. He did not know whether it was because Jiang Changkong wanted to avoid danger or because the abyss dragon had great intelligence, but he chose to work together with him to fight against the enemy. Walala! The power of the yellow springs avoided Jiang Changkong on its own and didn't even harm the holy sun behind him. Seeing this, Jiang Changkong was speechless and chose to face the golden crow head-on. Roar! Boundless blood chi surged, and a 3-zhang tall, golden body appeared. The 8 power tattoos whistled in unison. Jiang Changkong activated the Tao of power tattoos again and punched the golden crow. Idiot, you actually dared to use a 10th grade treasure to resist. The two cultivators from the ethereal immortal palace channeled the power of the sun and poured it into the golden crow. For a moment, the power of the sun flourished. The surrounding buildings were melting and the ground was disappearing. The power of the golden crow could burn the heavens and boil the seas. Screech! The golden crow let out a long cry, and its 3 flaming feet collided with the fist. First, the great Tao of power. First, the material was extraordinary, and the Tao was rich. Clang! Jiang Chankong's fist landed, and as if it had hit an indestructible iron wall, a rebounding force came. Crack! The sound of bones breaking rang out, and golden blood spilled. The golden crow's 3 feet swept across, tearing open the wound. Great Tao of power? You're Jiang Chankong? The 2 cultivators from the ethereal immortal palace finally remembered that he was a body cultivator. However, they were only surprised for a moment. You've comprehended the great Tao of power. Unfortunately, you're too stupid. We'll capture you today. A trace of excitement appeared on their faces, and they activated the power of the sun again to enhance the golden crow's ability. Jiang Chankong's figure retreated continuously. As he retreated, the ground cracked, and the star array on the ground collapsed. A 10th grade treasure. As expected, it was not something that he could shake. It could easily break through his defense. Although he had comprehended the great Tao of power, the golden crow's great Tao mark was higher than his. Jiang Chankong, how dare you come to the depths of the void realm? We'll kill you then, the 3-star demon said coldly. Don't worry, you 3. Focus on dealing with the abyss dragon. The 2 from the ethereal immortal palace sneered. Jiang Chankong was an important research material for the ethereal immortal palace. If he hid in his territory, the ethereal immortal palace would not be able to do anything. However, he had taken the initiative to come to the depths of the void realm, and they even encountered him. It was a godsend opportunity. Screech! The golden crow spread its wings again, and its power increased again as it swooped down. Jiang Chankong still threw a punch, the great Tao of power. Boom! After another collision, Jiang Chankong was directly sent flying. His body cracked open and blood flowed out. The golden crow stood proudly in the void, looking disdainfully in all directions. The terrifying golden light was enough to melt everything. Kill! With a cold cry, the golden crow swooped down, and its 3 feet shone with golden light. Roar! The abyss dragon roared, and the water of the yellow springs swept toward the golden crow. Its wings flapped, and the fire of the sun dissipated, evaporating the water of the yellow springs. Evil creature, you still want to save us? The 3-star demon shouted coldly, and their power increased to the limit. It seems that you really have spiritual intelligence. But this golden crow is not bad. It can suppress my great Tao of power. Jiang Chankong glanced at the abyss dragon. Its injuries were still there. This time, half of its body disappeared, and the black and white Tai Chi appeared. Tai Chi returned to 1. The great Tao of power, the god-reigning spell, and the Tai Chi star power complemented each other. The power of the sun swept over and was absorbed by the Tai Chi diagram. Boom! The Tai Chi returned to 1 fell, and the power of the sun shattered. The vast power all fell on the golden crow. Boom! The golden crow directly rolled out and smashed heavily on the ground. The terrifying flames melted half of the city, and the pit expanded. Your strength! The expressions of the 2 from the ethereal immortal palace changed. The strength of Jiang Chankong of the 3 major planets was far beyond their imagination. They were holding 10th grade treasures. Even if they could not unleash their full power, under normal circumstances, they could still sweep away anyone below the top grade. However, Jiang Chankong did not use any weapons. He only used the 3 major planets to send the golden crow flying. Just as Jiang Chankong was about to make a move, the holy sun trembled. Feng Qixing's voice sounded. Chankong, listen to me. Let's go. Jiang Chankong paused and flashed to the holy sun's side. A voice transmission sounded in his ear. Retreat first. If something unexpected happens, we won't be able to stop it. His expression changed as he looked at the expanding crater. Abyss Dragon, come here. He struck out with his palm, enveloping the 3-star demon at the same time. The Abyss Dragon was stunned, but it was forcibly dragged out of the city by Jiang Chankong. The move just now must have exhausted his strength. He is trying to escape. Chase him. The 2 from the ethereal immortal palace shouted coldly and controlled the golden crow again. The three-star demon shouted in a deep voice. The three damaged weapons released the might of the great Tao. Rumble. Suddenly, a loud sound rang out. Azure light soared into the sky. Two arms stretched out of the melting pit, grabbed the golden crow, and pulled. Boom! The golden crow exploded. A horrifying force swept out in all directions. A tyrannical might of the great Tao enveloped the entire place. Jiang Changkong's body felt heavy, as if he was carrying a huge mountain on his back. He turned his head to look and exclaimed, "What is that? Is it a zombie? We'll talk about it after we get out. We can't afford to offend this thing for now." Feng Qixing's face was pale. He could not hide the horror in his eyes. Not to mention an inferior 10th grade treasure. Even a peak 10th grade treasure could tear it apart. Chapter 359. What was this? Robbing a tomb and finding a super big dumpling? It could even tear a peak 10th rank creature apart. Wasn't the depths of the void too dangerous? Jiang Changkong didn't want to die. He used all his strength and ran forward. The water of the yellow springs drowned them and instantly rushed underground. The next moment, they were already deep underground. There was soil all around them. The netherworld dragon coiled its body and looked down at them. "Thank you." Jiang Changkong heaved a sigh of relief and cupped his hands at the netherworld dragon. The netherworld dragon nodded slightly and expanded the underground space. Liangxiu Xuani said in surprise, "This netherworld dragon's intelligence isn't low. She only knew some information from the information she read in the Immortal Palace. She didn't expect the netherworld dragon to have intelligence." The netherworld dragon glared at her, and a human-like dissatisfaction flashed in its eyes. In the interstellar era, the netherworld dragon belonged to the Yellow Springs race and guarded the Death Star. Feng Qixing said, in an even more ancient era, the Yellow Springs race was once an extremely powerful race, but it declined for some reason. There are no records of the Yellow Springs race in the information on Earth. This netherworld dragon should have been born in the Void Realm by chance. Hearing Feng Qixing's words, the netherworld dragon nodded, indicating that he was right. It's already so strong, but it still doesn't know how to speak? Jiang Changkong asked curiously. No one taught it. It has been in the Yellow Springs since it was born. There are no living creatures, and its body is filled with death qi. Feng Qixing pondered and said, "If you want to communicate with it, you can use your soul power. You have the soul stabilizing tree to protect your soul, so you won't be affected by the death qi. There's no hurry. Tell me what happened just now. Did it come back to life?" Jiang Changkong asked. He had seen zombies before. The pile of zombies in the battle palace could all come back to life. However, this one didn't recognize people. It was not right to dig up graves and rob them. "It's not a zombie. It's a guardian puppet," Feng Qixing explained. In the interstellar era, there are not only mechas but also puppets. Some people use top-grade materials to refine puppets and use star formations to drive them. They have great Tao imprints, and their combat power isn't inferior to martial artists. "Is that a Star Saint-grade puppet?" Jiang Changkong asked in surprise. Right, back then, the creation of puppets had already developed to a peak, and there had been puppets that approached the divine level. Feng Qixing said solemnly, "That kind of puppet can shatter stars and tear the starry sky apart. I am now certain that you are not an earthling," Liangxiu Xuani said calmly. Feng Qixing said, "You can't say that. I grew up in the Void Realm and can be considered a member of Earth. That puppet from earlier should be inferior grade 11. After so many years, it shouldn't have much energy left. It won't be able to last much longer." "How long will it take for us to get up there?" asked Jiang Changkong. Feng Qixing muttered, "Let's wait another quarter of an hour. I exaggerated a little just now to let you understand how dangerous this is. Let me make a bold guess. That puppet's combat strength should only be at the mid-stage of the star path. Only this much power left?" Jiang Changkong was stunned. The difference between the early stage of the Star Saint realm and the middle stage of the Star Doctrine realm was huge. "If it's any stronger, we definitely won't be able to escape." Feng Qixing shook his head and said, "That golden crow wasn't torn apart, but directly shattered." Jiang Changkong nodded and looked at the Abyss Dragon. You guys watch the time. I'll have a chat with the Abyss Dragon. The soul governing art spread out, and his soul power came into contact with the Abyss Dragon. Roar. The Abyss Dragon roared in a low voice. Soul waves appeared on its body, and it transmitted a message. Human. Cooperation. Even if it was a soul communication, it was a little difficult to communicate. Jiang Changkong thought about it and said, "Cooperation is fine. What do you want and what can I get?" The Abyss Dragon said, "Me, the corpse." "Only the corpse?" "Yes." "All right, then it's settled." Jiang Changkong agreed. After thinking about it, he still felt that he shouldn't attack the Abyss Dragon. Putting aside the fact that it was a rare species, it was a professional grave robber. If there were any tombs in the future, he might be able to ask it for help. Who wouldn't want a partner that only wanted the corpse and no other treasures? The two sides reached an agreement. Jiang Changkong pointed and taught it the star language he knew. Chatting like this was too tiring. Once it learned the star language, it would be able to communicate normally. "How was the conversation?" Feng Qixing asked. "Cooperation is done. It only wants the corpse. The rest is ours," Jiang Changkong said. Feng Qixing looked at the Abyss Dragon and said thoughtfully, "The Star Saint's corpse, even if there isn't much Tao left, is still very terrifying. With this corpse, the Abyss Dragon will probably step into the top level." The Abyss Dragon was arranging the star language. Hearing this, it looked at him with caution. Stepping into the top level is a good thing. The Abyss Dragon is a professional in finding corpses. "We can cooperate more in the future," Jiang Changkong said. The Abyss Dragon nodded, indicating that they could cooperate more. Feng Qixing shut up. He was just reminding Jiang Changkong. As for whether Jiang Changkong would listen or not, that was his own business. He hoped that the Abyss Dragon wouldn't turn against him after obtaining the corpse and stepping into the top level. It's a pity that it only looks like a flood dragon. Jiang Changkong looked at the Abyss Dragon and asked, "Will it grow dragon horns after stepping into the top level?" "It should." Feng Qixing rubbed his chin. "I'm not too sure. There are too few records about the Abyss Dragon." The Abyss Dragon ignored them and continued to arrange the star language in its mind. Jiang Changkong started to treat his injuries. He was injured by the Golden Crow just now. Lianxiu Xuani was very generous. She took out another bottle of medicine and gave it to him. Jiang Changkong drank the medicine and his injuries recovered quickly. 15 minutes passed quickly. 3 people and 1 dragon left the underground and returned to the city. The city had already been razed to the ground. Not even a single piece of rock was left. Everything had disappeared without a trace. There were only cracks on the ground and a few huge craters. "It's really amazing. We got a bargain for free." Jiang Changkong led them forward. "Roar." The Abyss Dragon suddenly roared and looked at a black hole. The water of the yellow springs surged into it. "It's still alive?" Jiang Changkong narrowed his eyes. There was still an aura of life in that crater. "Jiang Changkong, you ran really fast." Cold laughter rang out. The 2 ethereal palace cultivators climbed out of the crater. A middle-aged man stood beside them. The middle-aged man had no aura of life. That was a puppet. "You can actually subdue a puppet?" Feng Qixing exclaimed in shock, his expression changing drastically. "How can you understand the methods of the ethereal palace?" The 2 cultivators smiled coldly and patted the puppet beside them. Immediately, the puppet released the power of the solar star. "This is the energy source of that Golden Crow treasure?" Feng Qixing's eyes flickered. He said in understanding, "I was wondering. So, you managed to survive until the puppet ran out of energy and replaced its energy source. This is enough to kill you all." The 2 ethereal palace cultivators said coldly. Boom! The puppet took a step forward. The ground cracked, and the solar flame spread out again. However, there was a trace of Tao on its body that faintly resisted the solar star's power. Its might was slightly stronger than the Golden Crow from before. However, there was a limit. "Lord Jiang, you and the Abyss Dragon don't clash head-on with it. Just stall for time." Feng Qixing slowly drew his sword. "I'll kill these 2. You underestimate this Jiang too much. You 2 rest." Chapter 360. Facing the puppet, Jiang Changkong showed no fear. If it was before, he would run as far as he could. But now, he could not use the power of the sun to drive the wind element puppet for long. Moreover, it was not very powerful. With the 3 astral bodies activated, Jiang Chankong's attack was Tai Chi unification. The power pattern was the main, the soul was supplementary, and Tai Chi was inclusive. The 3 types of star power complemented each other. Rumble. A palm landed, and a majestic power bombarded the puppet. The puppet flew out and crashed into the 2 people. Pucci. Blood sprayed, and the bodies of the 2 Immortal Palace martial artists cracked. They looked terrified. How do you still have such strong power? It seems that the 2 of you have not been in the Immortal Palace for a long time. Jiang Chankong struck again. I, Jiang Chankong, am famous for my deep foundation. The 2 Immortal Palace martial artists. We know that you have a deep foundation, but isn't this too deep? Feng Qixing opened his mouth, looked at his sword, and put it back. The underworld dragon was very glad that it chose to cooperate with Jiang Chankong. Although it was strong, it was not enough to fight Jiang Chankong. Palm strike after palm strike, Jiang Chankong felt bored and directly killed 2 ethereal Immortal Palace cultivators. Without the 2 people controlling it, the puppet stopped moving and all its power disappeared. How do I extract this sun energy? I want to comprehend it, Jiang Chankong said. Leave it to me. Feng Qixing came to the side of the puppet, searched around, and took out a fist-sized stone that gave off a strong flame. The stone carried the great Tao of the sun, which was far stronger than Jiang Chankong's power pattern and the great Tao of the moon. After taking the stone, he searched in their spatial equipment. There were many rank 9-star crystals, but there were no rank 8-star crystals. Then, there were healing potions and some ores. There were no weapons. After comprehending the great Tao of the stars, ordinary weapons were not suitable. He kicked the corpse to the underworld dragon, which happily swallowed it. Only then did Jiang Chankong enter the pit to search for Star Sage's corpse. There was a space under the pit, and a bluestone coffin was placed in the center. The entire space was covered by a giant star array, and there was still a trace of Tao aura remaining. After the abyss dragon entered, it went straight to the limestone coffin, but it did not move. It looked at Jiang Chankong. After witnessing Jiang Chankong's strength, it was very obedient and did not dare to act recklessly. Jiang Chankong came to the bluestone coffin, pressed a star power on it, and activated the star formation. When Shao Chun exerted his force, the astral formation shattered. Without the protection of the astral formation, the limestone coffin was easily pushed open. It was the corpse of a middle-aged man. His complexion was ruddy, and he looked just like a living person as he laid there quietly. In the middle-aged man's hand was a green bead. Feng Qixing anxiously looked at it. This should be his inheritance. You want it? Jiang Chankong looked at Feng Qixing. Feng Qixing nodded. Yes. This was the Star Saint's inheritance, second only to the true gods. Cloud Sky's secret canon. The subsequent content, Jiang Chankong said calmly. I only know the Star Tao canon, but I don't know the rest. This was originally incomplete. After Feng Qixing finished speaking, he carefully looked at Qin Wentian. Look, is it okay? Jiang Chankong thought for a moment and threw the bead to him. I'll let you have it this time. After saying that, he carried the corpse out. He was very unhappy that he couldn't find any spatial equipment. There are actually no treasures. Jiang Chankong was somewhat disappointed. Of course not. Treasures are usually left for the living to use. They would only leave an inheritance in the coffin. If the inheritance of the clan is missing in the future, we can open the library to search for it. Feng Qixing explained, but don't you like star crystals? There must be some underground. Are you sure? Jiang Chankong's heart stirred. The god-controlling art entered the ground. There were indeed many star crystals of good quality, and there were even some at the 10th level. In the interstellar era, the corpses of clans would usually be buried together. The others wouldn't have the same treatment as the Star Saint. They could protect the corpses, and after countless years, the energy of the corpses would dissipate or solidify into star crystals. Feng Qixing explained. Jiang Chankong nodded. Digging is a troublesome matter. Let's hurry up. The underworld dragon glanced at him and directly entered the ground. Rumble. The earth trembled, and the soil was overturned. A piece of star crystal was laid on the ground. You have this ability? Jiang Changkong asked in surprise. This was a little mining expert. I'm used to being underground. The underworld dragon opened its mouth and spoke in a somewhat stiff manner. Wherever the yellow springs passes, it will turn into the soil of the underworld. The underworld dragon has the ability to control the soil of the underworld. It's just that before the power of the yellow springs dissipates, no living things will be able to grow here. Feng Qixing explained. Jiang Changkong nodded. It was a pity. He still needed to plant medicinal herbs in his territory. It wasn't suitable to let the underworld dragon explore the land. I can't handle these star crystals. Jiang Changkong kept the star crystals. Many of them were at the 7th level. Jiang Changkong was very generous. He tossed a small portion of a 7th level star crystal to Liangxiu Xuani. He would treat it as the money for 2 bottles of 10th level potions. The underworld dragon directly swallowed the corpse and growled, "Let's go." After getting their share of the harvest, Jiang Changkong didn't want to stay any longer. He left with them. The 3 people and 1 dragon left this place. The underworld dragon opened its mouth and a grayish-yellow bead flew towards Jiang Changkong. "Look for me if you want to cooperate." "Okay." Jiang Changkong agreed. He watched as the underworld dragon left on the yellow springs. This underworld dragon will be an ally in the future. Jiang Changkong chuckled. It was good to be an ally with a dragon, even though this dragon was a little weak. "Where are we going now?" Liangxiu Xuani asked. "The treasure trove or the immortal palace's stronghold?" Jiang Changkong pondered. "Let's go to the treasure trove first. Let's not go to the immortal palace's stronghold for now." After seeing the 10th level treasure, Jiang Changkong felt that he should increase his strength before going to the immortal palace's stronghold. Most importantly, he wanted to see if there was a soul-searching technique in the inheritance of the immortal palace. If there was a soul-searching technique, then he could go to the immortal palace's stronghold and search the soul for any information he wanted. He sensed the soul star rune and used it with the soul stabilizing tree. A special feeling came over and guided him forward. "Let's go." Jiang Changkong brought them along, merged with heaven and earth, and disappeared from this place. An hour later, Jiang Changkong appeared. He closed his eyes and sensed again. He found the right direction and continued forward. With Jiang Changkong's strength, he might not be able to do as he pleased here. At the very least, if he hid, unless he was a peak cultivator or had special means, no one would be able to discover him. Feng Qixing was indeed familiar with this place. He could tell the place clearly every time they went. As they hurried on, Liangxiu Xuani became more and more confused. She already had no idea where she was. A few days later, Jiang Changkong stopped. A look of joy appeared on his face. The treasure trove was nearby. "Lord Jiang, why don't we not go ahead?" Feng Qixing suddenly said. "What's wrong?" "The treasure trove is over there. Could it be that your home is there?" Jiang Changkong asked. "That is the star demon's territory. A few peak star demons have laid a 10th level killing formation. Once we're discovered, we will be in big trouble," Feng Qixing said with a grave expression. "The treasure trove is over there. It's fine. A 10th level killing formation is nothing without a great Tao imprint," Jiang Changkong said confidently. Only after comprehending the star great Tao did he know how terrifying the star great Tao was. Chapter 361. Feng Qixing said, "Those star demon have also comprehended the star great Tao. That's fine. Don't worry, I'll be careful." Jiang Changkong merged with heaven and earth and brought them inside. The star demon's territory was deep in the mountains, and there were star formation patterns everywhere. Jiang Changkong followed his senses and was shocked to discover that the treasure was actually at the bottom of the mountain. This group of star demons actually set up a formation on a treasure that was close to divine level. And clan, they were really ambitious. Feng Qixing's expression was ugly. "Don't tell me that the treasure is in the mountain. It's under the mountain," Jiang Changkong pondered. "I'm wondering if I should get rid of the star demon first or enter the treasure. If I get rid of the star demon first, I'm afraid it will cause a huge commotion and attract more experts. Lianxiu Shuani analyzed. In that case, it will be more difficult to enter the treasure. If we can sneak in, let's do it, Feng Qixing said after a moment of silence. Once we make a move, my family will discover you. Is your home really nearby? Zhang Chongkong was slightly surprised. Feng Qixing hesitated for a moment before nodding. Sort of. Didn't you want me to go home with you? Zhang Chongkong was puzzled. Now that we're near your home, you don't want me to be exposed? Because there are other forces apart from my family, Liang Xiaoshuani said calmly. Liang Xiaoshuani said calmly. You and your clan don't want other powers to know that Long Sky is here. Feng Qixing sighed. That's right. My family's methods can be considered gentle. I've never thought of taking your life, but I can't be sure about others. There are quite a number of star remnant beings. Jiang Chongkong's eyes narrowed slightly as he silently led them into the ground. The soul-stabilizing tree shook, and the soul star runes vibrated violently as if they were cheering. There was nothing unusual in the depths of the ground. Feng Qixing and Liang Xiaoshuani didn't see anything strange. The soul-stabilizing tree's roots spread out and went deep into the ground. Jiang Chongkong followed the roots of the soul-stabilizing tree. Half an hour later, a faint soul energy fluctuation spread out. Next, the three of them felt their vision blur, and they found themselves in a world of darkness. A door stood in the dark space, tightly shut. There were countless veined patterns on the door, emitting faint soul fluctuations. This is the near divine treasure? A trace of excitement appeared on Liang Xiaoshuani's calm face. Feng Qixing couldn't help but say, near divine treasures. I've only heard of them before, but this is my first time here. I can only say that you, a remnant of the universe, are really miserable. Zhang Chongkong said disdainfully. Don't call me that. I'm really a part of Earth. Feng Qixing didn't like this title at all. He said, do you really think it's that easy to find treasures close to gods? Zhang Chongkong said lightly. Even a god can't find it. The current near god can't be compared to the past. Feng Qixing shook his head and said, many martial skills and secret techniques have been lost. Even a near god can't find these treasures. I've never seen a near god before, so I can't be sure. However, we are indeed far inferior to those old monsters. As Zhang Chongkong spoke, he stretched out his right hand. The roots of the soul-stabilizing tree covered his palm. He placed his hand on the door, and the roots rapidly spread out, following the vein patterns on the door. In less than a few breaths, the roots of the soul-stabilizing tree covered the entire door. Buzz! The door trembled and slowly opened, revealing a dark space. Let's go. Zhang Chongkong led the two into the door. Inside the door was still a dark space, a boundless darkness. Another maze? Liang Xiaoshuani said softly. No. Zhang Chongkong pointed at his feet. You'll know when you see it. Liang Xiaoshuani lowered her head. In the darkness, there was a stone path under her feet. Let's go. Zhang Chongkong led them forward on the stone path. The stone path was only 2 meters wide, with empty space on both sides. No one knew where they would end up if they were to fall into it. As they stepped on the stone path, a strong soul Tao lingered in the air, and a pressure came from their souls. Zhang Chongkong did not feel anything with the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree. Liang Xiaoshuani and Feng Qixing were startled. Their 7 orifices were bleeding, and their expressions twisted. Zhang Chongkong frowned. The soul-stabilizing tree rose above his head and shone brightly. The pressure on the two immediately disappeared. Rumble! The door behind them began to tremble, and a powerful force soared into the sky. Damn it! Why is there a commotion? Zhang Chongkong frowned. He was afraid that the star demon would be alerted. As expected of a near god's treasure. Even after so many years, the seal of the great Tao is still so strong. Feng Qixing panted heavily. He used his star force to get rid of the bloodstains. A near god's treasure is indeed not something that ordinary people can get their hands on. If it wasn't for the soul-stabilizing tree, I would be dead by now. Liangxiu Xuani spoke with lingering fear in her heart. The soul pressure here was simply too terrifying. She was only at the early stage star embryo realm, and there was no way she could resist it. Jiang Changkong led them into the depths of the ancient path. The star rune on his forehead gradually grew hotter, as though it wanted to leave his body and fly into the depths. After walking for an hour, the three of them finally arrived at the end of the stone path. A flight of stairs extended into the darkness ahead. It was unknown what was hidden in the boundless darkness. The three of them stepped on the stairs, and an increasingly dense Tao rune gushed over. On the stairs, rays of gray light flashed as they climbed rapidly. What the hell is this? Liangxiu Xuani's expression changed slightly. On the stairs, densely packed, gray lights the size of fingernails were crawling rapidly. Soulworms feed on souls. They are the favorite pets of soul cultivators in the interstellar era. Feng Chi-Chi's scalp turned numb, and he said in horror, "Be careful not to step on them. These worms are very hard to kill. They can parasitize souls and eat living beings until they become empty shells. Even the soul-stabilizing tree can't chase them away." Liangxiu Xuani's face turned pale. "Now you know fear?" Jiang Changkong glanced at her. "It's good to have more expressions. You don't look good at all. You still have the mood to joke at a time like this," Liangxiu Xuani said angrily. "The soul-stabilizing tree can guarantee that we won't disturb each other as long as we don't step on them," Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Chi-Chi said in a deep voice, "Then let's fly up. We can't step on them anymore." "Lift your head up yourself," Jiang Changkong said calmly. Feng Chi-Chi slowly lifted his head, and his body stiffened. Every inch of his head was filled with soulworms. If he flew up, wouldn't he be eaten clean by the soulworms? "What should we do now?" Liangxiu Xuani grabbed his arm tightly, feeling extremely nervous. Jiang Changkong fell silent for a moment. "Let's hope it's still useful." The six-story palace was taken out, and a special Tao rune of the soul spread out. Moreover, the more it spread out, the lesser it became. The surrounding soulworms seemed to have met their nemesis, and they frantically retreated. "Why didn't you take it out earlier?" The two of them heaved a sigh of relief. "Let's hurry up and leave. I'm not sure how long this thing can be used." Jiang Changkong shook his head. This six-story palace didn't have much Tao rune left. If it continued to dissipate, it was unknown if it could last until they obtained the treasures. This was also the reason why he didn't take it out immediately. Chapter 362. As the three of them walked on the stairs, the soulworms sensed the Taoist aura and quickly pushed them away. "These Tao marks are dissipating on their own, but I'm afraid they won't last long if they do that." Feng Qixing's expression turned serious. With his eyesight, he could tell that there weren't many Tao marks left. Once all the Tao marks dissipated, the soulworms would no longer give way to them. As Jiang Changkong moved forward, he paid attention to the soulworms around him. The soul-stabilizing tree can't disperse them either. Do you have any other way? Apart from capturing the Worm King, only soul martial artists have a special secret technique to be unafraid of the soulworms. Feng Qixing pondered. "Do you know this secret technique?" Jiang Changkong shook his head. "Let's look for the Worm King as we walk." "Do you know how to capture it?" If he knew any secret techniques, he wouldn't have come looking for treasures. Feng Qixing remained silent. "Why don't we retreat first?" Jiang Changkong frowned. They didn't know where the stairs ended. If they continued walking like this, they might be surrounded by the soulworms. "We can't walk anymore," Liangxiu Xuani sighed. "Look behind us." The two of them looked back. Unknowingly, the stairs behind them had disappeared. There was no way out. The three of them could only continue moving forward. With the soul-stabilizing tree, even if the Taoist aura was exhausted, it could still protect them. Jiang Changkong's soul power fluctuated in the surrounding space. Because of the soul-stabilizing tree, the soul worms didn't make things difficult for him. That said, the void was also filled with profound spirit formations. It was impossible for him to leave this place with the help of the heavens and earth. The mysterious star formation was hidden in the void. The stairs under their feet had endless Taoist aura. Without the soul-stabilizing tree, they probably wouldn't be able to take a step forward. The stairs seemed to have no end. After walking for half an hour, they still couldn't see the end. The Taoist aura of the six-story palace was decreasing. The soul worms were still densely packed, and they were all the same size. They couldn't tell which one was the Worm King. Let's stop first. Jiang Changkong put away the six-story palace. They couldn't disperse like this anymore. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed. Its branches and roots enveloped the three of them, coexisting peacefully with the soul worms. Feng Qixing whispered, "Why don't you give it a try and see if you can comprehend the star formation and Tao charm here? I don't know if it will succeed, and I don't know how long it will take." Jiang Changkong frowned. "This is the only way. We can afford to wait," Liang Xiaoshuani said. Jiang Changkong no longer hesitated. The soul-stabilizing tree released a gray light that fluctuated in the void. His soul power merged with the void to comprehend the star formation. A portion of his soul power entered the stairs beneath his feet to comprehend the star runes. Jiang Changkong's soul power appeared in his soul perception, one profound path after another. The majestic soul Taoist rhyme was like an unshakable mountain. Jiang Changkong's soul force was as weak as a candle compared to these Tao auras. Compared to the 10th stage Golden Crow and the 11th stage Puppet, this Tao aura was many times more terrifying. His feeble soul energy flowed along the star array, not daring to move recklessly. In the outside world, countless soul worms crawled out from the hidden stairs in the thick black fog. The densely packed soul worms made one's hair stand on end. Even with the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree, facing so many worms was still horrifying. The Tao charm of the stairs became denser and denser, attracting the soul worms. A shrill scream was heard, and the two turned around. The stairs that should have disappeared appeared once again. However, it was a faint shadow of a beast that was being eaten by countless soul worms. Star Demon. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. The Star Demon was here. The vibration of the door must have alarmed them. However, without the protection of the soul-stabilizing tree, the Star Demon became a feast. Its body was intact, without the slightest injury, but its soul was eaten clean. Jiang Changkong was also alarmed, but he didn't wake up and continued to comprehend. With the soul-stabilizing tree, the soul worms here were the best defense, and no one could enter. Coupled with the Tao aura here, even if a star path martial artist came here, there would only be death. Jiang Changkong recorded all the routes that the Imperial Spirit Art star power passed through. However, he was surprised that this star array seemed to be in the shape of a human. The star array was connected to the stairs deep into the void, and these soul worms had always been on the star array. This can't be. Jiang Changkong opened his eyes and looked at his feet with a strange expression. "What's wrong?" The two quickly asked. "Did you comprehend it? What we're stepping on might be a top soul martial artist." Jiang Changkong pointed at the stairs under his feet. "The two? Are you kidding me? Refining a top soul martial artist into a staircase? Soul worms like to parasitize the soul, and soul martial artists can control and carry the soul worms." Jiang Changkong muttered, "What I'm looking for should be a soul astral body star array that can contain these soul worms. Can you change this star array? It shouldn't be a top soul martial artist, but the quality of the stairs is high." Feng Qixing shook his head. He couldn't believe that a top soul martial artist would be used to forge a staircase. Forget about changing it. The soul imprint here is more terrifying than the Golden Crow. Jiang Changkong frowned. "Let me see if there are any omissions or learn this star array." As he comprehended it again, the soul imprint on his forehead vibrated more and more intensely. Will this star rune be useful? Jiang Changkong pondered and activated the star rune. The star rune vibrated, and the void soul array was directly manifested. Rumble. The stairs under his feet vibrated, and the surroundings began to change. The stairs extended in all directions, and the black mist in front of them began to dissipate. "It's really a human?" Feng Qixing and Liang Xiaoshuani exclaimed in shock. In front of them, the darkness dissipated, and a huge head appeared. The stairs had already dissipated, and they were standing on the palm of an arm. Is this person 10,000 feet tall? Feng Qixing said in surprise. Even a star Dao martial artist can't be so huge. Could it be a celestial sage, or even a deity? Liangxiu Xuanyi guessed. I'm not sure, but this person isn't 10,000 feet tall. We're the ones who have shrunk. The soul imprint on Jiang Chankong's forehead manifested, unleashing a dense Dao aura. Feng Qixing asked, have you found a way? Yes, but there's a high chance that it will fail, Jiang Chankong said with a frown. Liangxiu Xuanyi urged, tell us, what is it? We don't want to stay here forever. If we accept this person's Dao imprint, the soul worms won't attack us, but they will crawl all over our bodies. It's fine even if we stomp them to death. However, we will also have to endure the suppression of the soul Dao. I'm confident, but I'm not sure if you guys can endure it. Jiang Chankong looked at Liangxiu Xuanyi, especially you, Miss Xuanyi. You're the weakest. Then I'll have to trouble Chankong to help me take the medicine before my soul energy is destroyed, Liangxiu Xuanyi said as she took out 2 bottles of medicine. Give me a few bottles. I'm sorry, I only have 2 bottles. I might not even have enough for myself. Chapter 363. The soul-stabilizing tree extended its branches and touched the star formation. His soul energy rippled and came into contact with a Taoist seal. Instantly, it was as if his soul was being torn apart by a sharp blade. Jiang Chankong's expression was calm as he directed a Taoist seal onto Feng Qixing's body. Pay attention. Don't worry. Seeing how relaxed you are, I will definitely. Blood splattered everywhere, and blood seeped out of his 7 apertures. His complexion was deathly pale, and he looked like a malicious spirit. Feng Qixing's aura instantly weakened by more than half. How did you hide it so well? This was completely cutting at the soul. Hurry up and go. Remember, go to that head. Jiang Chankong gave him a push. Once again, he touched a strand of the great Dao imprint and poured it into Liangxiu Xuanyi's body. Liangxiu Xuanyi's expression sank, and she quickly walked forward. Jiang Chankong was slightly startled. At some point, Liangxiu Xuanyi was holding a jade pendant in her hand. The pendant was emitting a gray glow with a dense Dao presence, a top-grade soul treasure. However, not long after, the 2 of them were covered with soul worms. With a smile, Jiang Chankong once again came into contact with a wisp of the Great Path imprint, and it stained his body. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed and was about to clear it, but it was stopped by Jiang Chankong. If the soul-stabilizing tree was destroyed, he wouldn't be able to walk up. If so many soul worms were to be enraged, he could not guarantee that the soul-anchoring tree would be able to withstand it. With the imprint of the Great Path of the soul, Jiang Chankong walked quickly and directly stepped on a bunch of soul worms. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed, and with the 2 working together, no soul worm crawled onto his body. This made him heave a sigh of relief. A pile of worms, just thinking about it, made him feel disgusted. In the blink of an eye, he had caught up to Feng Qixing and Liangxiu Xuanyi. As she was protected by a treasure, Liangxiu Xuanyi's speed was much faster than Feng Qixing's. Jiang Chankong thought about the 2 bottles of medicine in his hands. It was very likely that Liangxiu Xuanyi had prepared them for him. 15 minutes later, Jiang Chankong was the first to arrive at the giant head. The giant head's mouth was wide open, emitting dense soul energy. An altar that emanated traces of Taoist aura stood in his mouth. Near divine treasure, Jiang Chankong glanced at the 2 of them. There shouldn't be much danger, so he walked in. There wasn't even a single soul worm in the giant mouth. There was nothing on the altar. The soul-stabilizing tree left Jiang Chankong and took root on the altar. Ka-ka! The altar trembled. Its surface split open, revealing a hidden compartment and a gray sphere. Near God's inheritance, Jiang Chankong held the gray ball in his hand, and a thick gray light flashed. A middle-aged man in black clothes appeared directly in his stargate. His soul body, which had suffered some injuries due to the imprint of the great Tao, suddenly stood up and looked at the black-robed figure warily. A person close to God? It was exactly the same as the middle-aged man whom Zhang Xian had seen when he obtained the soul-stabilizing tree. 7 great stars, the great Tao of power, the great Tao of extreme mean. The middle-aged man ignored him and looked at Yi Futian's 7 stars. A satisfied expression appeared on his face. Ultimate combat body. You still lack the great path of the sun. How did you survive? Jiang Changkong was shocked. This was actually a living person. This was a person close to God and the owner of the soul-stabilizing tree. What if this guy wanted to take over his body? He probably wouldn't be able to withstand it. The middle-aged man's gaze fell on the tyrant blade of stars, then on the Tai Chi star. Yin-yang Tai Chi, tyrant blade, just right. What's good about it? Jiang Changkong's expression turned cold. If he really wanted to fight, he might be confident. After all, this was just a remnant soul, and this was his home ground. Even if the soul-stabilizing tree used to belong to the middle-aged man, it was his treasure now. Back then, I didn't go to the Sun Divine Palace and didn't have much contact with Yin Tian. However, this tyrant blade is an old friend of mine who was proficient in this Tao. The middle-aged man didn't seem to notice Yi Futian's coldness and continued, I'll pass it on to you. After you go out, cultivate hard and reach the near God level as soon as possible. Pass it on to me? Jiang Changkong was slightly stunned. He could get 2 parts of a near God's inheritance? As for why I'm alive, do you want this thing? A fingernail-sized golden object appeared in the middle-aged man's palm. It didn't look like a stone or the bone of a living being. He had never seen it before. Essence, Qi, and Spirit. 1000000, unable to be extracted. 1 million essence, Qi, and Spirit. 1,000 star Daos, 10,000 star sages. A near-God inferior grade star crystal only had 100,000 essence, Qi, and Spirit. This thing was only the size of a fingernail. 1 million? An immortal-level treasure that surpassed near God. Was this the immortal, fortuitous opportunity that they pursued? I want it, Jiang Changkong said without hesitation. You're undying because of this thing? When you comprehend the great Tao of Sun and step into the star Tao, I'll tell you where this thing came from. The middle-aged man said calmly, and it's inexhaustible. Jiang Changkong. It was so troublesome to step into the star Tao. If you gave me more of this thing, I could easily step into the star Tao. Why don't you give me 10 million first? Jiang Changkong probed. The middle-aged man was stunned. He didn't expect Jiang Changkong to say that. I'm counting on this thing to live. That's all. The middle-aged man took a deep breath and said, Your 2 companions are coming. I'll give you the inheritance now. Don't say that you've seen me. He pointed with his finger, and a large amount of information surged into Jiang Changkong's mind. It was completely squeezed in. Apart from the soul treasure that he wanted, there was also the Overlord Blade inheritance. After doing all this, the middle-aged man's figure dissipated and the golden object disappeared. The gray ball in Jiang Changkong's hand left his palm and returned to the sacrificial altar. The soul-stabilizing tree returned to his body, and the wounds on his soul had already healed. The star character on his glabella changed slightly, and a piece of information was fed back. Like the power pattern, it could speed up the condensation of the soul astral body and speed up the cultivation of the soul Tao to the near-God realm. Changkong, Feng Qixing, and Liangqiu Xuani rushed over. The soul-stabilizing tree swayed and dispersed the soul worms on their bodies. I'm fine. Jiang Changkong opened his eyes, and the sacrificial altar had already disappeared. There's nothing here? Did you find the inheritance of the near-God realm? The 2 looked around, and there was nothing. It was empty. I found it. I'm going to enter seclusion here. Jiang Changkong took out the soul medicine. You guys recover. Don't disturb me. All right, but leave the soul-stabilizing tree behind to prevent those worms from coming in. Feng Qixing's face turned pale, and he quickly consumed the soul medicine. Liangqiu Xuani's expression was calm, and she was not injured. Jiang Changkong entered the interior and started to study the soul inheritance and the Overlord Blade inheritance. The middle-aged man was very generous, and he gave him almost everything he knew about the soul Tao and the Overlord Blade Tao. The soul astral body star formation was no less than the one he obtained in the Immortal Palace. The Overlord blade was the same. This time, he should be able to take a shortcut and comprehend the great Tao of these two martial arts. All that was left was the white cloud, the sacred sun, and the Taiji yin-yang art. Unfortunately, he did not get the golden object, and he did not know its origin. It seemed that he had to step into the star Tao as soon as possible. The condensation of the soul astral body was quickly completed with the support of the star characters left by the middle-aged man. The functions of the star runes left behind by these two people who were close to God were the same. These near gods were really lucky. They had been dead for so long, but they still had a way to survive. But now, it seemed that they were all crippled. Chapter 364. The Battle Palace's near-god corpse was in a half-dead state. The Flower Sea Queen, Hua Tianrui, had been divided into several parts and was struggling at death's door. Soul Marshal Dao's near-god corpse relied on immortal treasures to preserve a remnant soul. The three near-god corpses that Jiang Changkong met were all pitiful. At the very least, if he really wanted to challenge them, he would dare to fight them both, except for the corpse of a near-god. Now, it seemed that body refining was more powerful. As the soul astral body condensed, Jiang Changkong saw another big star. Soul astral body. Peering into the soul Tao was very rich. The tyrant saber was much more difficult and needed more time. Because of his experience, he didn't need to cultivate for 4 months this time. In just 2 months, Jiang Changkong had comprehended 2 great Taos. Jiang Changkong wasn't in a hurry to come out. He organized the secret techniques and martial arts in his mind. Tyrant saber technique, soul secret technique, soul searching technique. It could only be used on people weaker than him, or the other party didn't resist and let him search their soul. If the other party was stronger or about the same level as him, he could only severely injure them and barely search their soul once. However, the risk was great. The soul of the target might shatter and die immediately. Soul killing array, near God level. Star Tao, star sacred level killing array, everything. The tyrant saber had all kinds of near God moves. Now, he finally had someone who could complete the inheritance. It could also be said that there were endless martial arts secret techniques. Jiang Changkong restrained his cultivation and looked at his essence, qi, and spirit. There were still no fluctuations. He didn't forget that his foundation was to level up. Only by leveling up could he make everything the most suitable for him. You're finally out. The two heaved a sigh of relief when they saw him come out. Let's go. Jiang Changkong stood up and planned to leave. You've been in seclusion for 2 months, but the Worm King hasn't appeared. Don't you think it's strange? Feng Qixing followed beside him. How do we go out? Just walk out like this. With me here, it'll be fine. Jiang Changkong waved his hand. His soul power fluctuated, and the soul worms outside retreated. It seems that you have comprehended the soul inheritance. Have you comprehended the soul great Tao? The two asked curiously. I comprehended a bit. A faint Tao rune appeared on Jiang Changkong's body. It was slightly weaker than the Force inscription and the Moon Tao runes. There was no helping it. When he leveled up his abilities, his Tao aura would increase as well. Truly abnormal. Feng Qixing couldn't help but say. Liangxiu Xuani's eyes flickered. No one knew what she was thinking. The two of them retraced their steps and soon saw a few star demon corpses. Jiang Changkong put away the spatial equipment, which contained quite a number of level 8 and level 9 star crystals. Although he couldn't use it now, he would be able to make a huge leap when he went back and dealt with it. He didn't let go of the star demon's corpse either. These were all good stuff, and he could bring them back to the territory. The 3 of them returned the way they came. When they arrived at the door, Jiang Changkong frowned. What's wrong? The two were puzzled. There's someone here. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, causing them to merge with heaven and earth and leave. Rumble. As they left, the door shook again and slowly closed. The soul energy dissipated, and a huge crack appeared, extending all the way to the ground. In front of the door, a group of star demon and a few human warriors were guarding it. Attack! With a cold shout, all sorts of starlight and Tao aura erupted, covering a radius of hundreds of miles. Rumble! An invisible force fluctuated, and Jiang Changkong's figure separated from the sky, bringing the two of them with him as he flew up. Leave the treasures behind. A group of star demon and humans chased after them in the air. On the ground, a level 10-star array was activated. A terrifying power and dense Dao aura blocked Jiang Changkong. The Dao imprint here is quite strong. Jiang Changkong punched out, causing the star array to shake and the starlight to collapse. This Dao aura was even stronger than the level 10 Golden Crow. Below, the star demon and warriors chased after them. Starlight shone brightly, and Dao aura circulated. Feng Qi Xing, I remember you. If you dare to leave, I will kill my way to your home. A cold voice sounded. A middle-aged warrior exuded golden Dao aura as he flew up into the air. So, it's a kid from the Wind Meridian. It's inexcusable not to share such a good thing. A star demon said sinisterly. Wind Meridian? Jiang Changkong glanced at Feng Qi Xing, but he didn't leave. He stood in the air and waited for them to catch up. 7-star demon and 4 humans. They were all at the peak of the star realm and had comprehended a trace of the star great Dao. Feng Qi Xing, didn't you go out to capture Jiang Changkong? Why are you here? The middle-aged warrior said as he looked at Jiang Changkong with a burning gaze. Capture Jiang Changkong? I received news that he was defeated by Jiang Changkong. A star demon said ferociously. He came back with his tail between his legs and doesn't dare to go home. Right? Feng Qi Xing remained silent. I did capture Jiang Changkong, but I was captured instead. The middle-aged warrior sneered. I feel that the person beside him is a bit like Jiang Changkong. It seems that I really attract attention. Jiang Changkong's expression was calm. So what do you guys want? It's really Jiang Changkong. The star demon and the warriors were all overjoyed. It really didn't take any effort. I thought that the Wind Meridian would succeed, but now it's right in front of us. Feng Qi Xing, since you've brought such a big gift, your uncle will definitely leave your corpse intact. A trace of excitement flashed across the middle-aged warrior's face. The golden sword slashed down and turned into a sword light that was hundreds of meters long. The metal Great Dao was indestructible and incomparably sharp. It was more than a level higher than Feng Qi Xing's sword. Rumble. The star formation on the ground activated, and a rank 10 killing formation slashed down with the might of the Great Dao. It seems that their relationship with you isn't that good, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Feng Qi Xing explained, it's not that good. They want your life, and the Wind Meridian just wants to invite you over. In that case, I'll send them to their deaths. Jiang Changkong raised his palm, and the 3 astral bodies opened. The strength Great Dao and the soul Great Dao complemented each other under the Taiji astral bodies. The vast Taiji diagram covered a radius of 50 kilometers. The Taiji diagram descended, and countless attacks were absorbed. The remaining power could not shake the Taiji diagram. The mountains melted silently. The star formations collapsed, and the great formations were obliterated. The bodies of the 7-star demon crumbled. The 5 warriors could not block the Dao might. As their bodies exploded, their souls were also attacked, and cracks appeared on them. Feng Qi Xing and Liang Xiaoshuani could only remain silent when facing this scene. They had both comprehended the star Great Dao and were at the peak of the star realm. They also had a rank 10 killing formation, but they could not block Jiang Changkong's palm strike. His soul power swept out and caught all 12 souls in his hand. Soul Search. Jiang Changkong directly used the Soul Search technique. Bang! 1 soul directly exploded. Jiang Changkong continued with the next one. This was his first time using it, so he was not very familiar with it. He just needed to use it a few more times. The soul stabilizing tree flew out and absorbed the exploded soul. Soul Search technique. A warrior cried out in horror. Good eyes. Don't be anxious. It will be your turn soon. Jiang Changkong said coldly as he pressed his palm down again. Feng Qi Xing's expression changed. He wanted to stop it, but Jiang Changkong knocked him away. He could only watch as Jiang Changkong searched his soul. He wanted to hide the secret here, but it was impossible under the soul search technique. Chapter 365. Soul-Searching Secret Technique. After blowing up 3 souls in a row, Jiang Changkong finally found some information. The remnant stars. When the Void Realm fell, these creatures also came here. They had been developing in the Void Realm, exploring the ruins, and searching for the cause of the interstellar war. Some of them were even the descendants of near gods. It was a pity that the war was too terrifying and affected too many areas. Near gods died and disappeared. The inheritance of near gods was also severed. They could only search the ruins to complete their martial arts. Some were completed, and some near gods appeared and went to the starry sky. There were also some forces that did not complete their martial arts. The strongest was only Star Sage or even Star Path. These remnant stars were not clans, but cultivators of the same attribute. The wind attribute was the wind vein. The metal attribute was the gold vein. Warriors of the same attribute formed a force. In the face of some unsolvable difficulties, these forces would unite. For example, blocking the Federation's perception. The technology of the remnant stars was not weaker than the Federation, and even surpassed the Federation. However, the limitations of materials and number of people made it impossible for them to create some weapons of mass destruction. These forces would also go on expeditions to the starry sky. They had their own routes, and in the Void Realm, there were Star Path warriors guarding. After sorting out and digesting the information, Jiang Changkong knew the location of these remnant stars and began to search their spatial equipment. These people's spatial equipment was not bad, and it was difficult for him to destroy it with his strength. There were a lot of star crystals inside. After keeping everything, Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing and Lianxiu Xuani. I think you should be more sensible now. He now had the soul-searching secret technique. He did not attack the 2 before because he was not familiar with it and did not want to kill them. With these 12 guys as practice, Jiang Changkong could guarantee that he would not kill them. In that case, no matter how many secrets they had, they would not be able to hide unless they had something to protect their souls. For example, the Soul Pearl. However, this thing was not common. Otherwise, Jiang Changkong would not be able to search their souls. Let's talk on the way. Feng Qixing sighed and took the lead. When he says it, I will tell you, Lianxiu Xuani said calmly. Jiang Changkong smiled and left with the 2. After fusing with heaven and earth, Jiang Changkong stopped in a dense forest half an hour later. Slashing a tree, Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing. You should speak first to set an example for the lady. Feng Qixing smiled bitterly and sat down on the tree. You should know from soul searching, we are indeed survivors of the universe. You should know that I want more than that. Why do you want to capture me? Jiang Changkong didn't manage to find anything from his soul search. In the memories of those people, they only knew that they wanted to capture him. What else could it be? It's all for the sake of the omnipotent combat physique, said Feng Qixing. Jiang Changkong didn't believe it. Is it that simple? Could it be that you want to possess me? Other forces might have this idea, but our wind bloodline doesn't. Feng Qixing muttered. Before I left, my family warned me not to form a life and death grudge with you, and to bring you back alive. Jiang Changkong frowned. What are you going to do with me? Could it be that you want to serve me? I don't know. They didn't tell me, and I didn't ask. Feng Qixing shook his head. Jiang Changkong thought for a moment and looked at Lianxiu Xuani. Miss Xuani, what about you? Lianxiu Xuani sighed. I don't know who's behind this. Maybe it's really someone from the Immortal Palace. What do you mean? Jiang Changkong was puzzled. If it was someone from the Immortal Palace, it wouldn't make sense for Lianxiu Xuani to keep giving benefits to an enemy. Because of her, many people from the Immortal Palace had died, and the Battle Palace had missed this opportunity. When I was very young, I met my master, Lin Suyin. She's from the Immortal Palace. Lianxiu Xuani told him everything. Lianxiu Xuani met Lin Suyin and became her disciple. Lin Suyin nurtured her with all her might and gave her resources that weren't inferior to geniuses. Lin Suyin kept telling her how vicious the Immortal Palace was to her and how they tortured her. At that time, Lianxiu Xuani swore to help her master resist the Immortal Palace and free herself from the nightmare. I've grown up, and I understand more and more. My master's position in the Immortal Palace is definitely not low. Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. The Immortal Palace's torture won't land on her. However, she's my master, and I have to repay her kindness. Furthermore, she has many disciples. I'm not the only one. Many disciples? That's right. I'm just one of the people you've come in contact with. There are also some geniuses from the various major factions. Liangqiu Xuanyi continued. My master is indeed from the Immortal Palace. She told me that beautiful women are just playthings in the Immortal Palace. If I don't want to be a plaything that others can bully, I can only resist the Immortal Palace. After all, with my master around, I can obtain things from the Immortal Palace. Rank 9 battle armor and top-grade healing medicine. Your master is truly capable. Feng Qixing sneered. To be able to obtain those things, her status is definitely not low. That's right, Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. Feng Qixing frowned and shouted, Woman, you clearly know that you've been deceived, yet you're still so calm. A cold glint appeared on Liangqiu Xuanyi's calm face. She's my master. Furthermore, the Immortal Palace has a grudge against me to begin with. What grudge do you have against the Immortal Palace? Could it be that it was arranged by your master? Jiang Changkong asked. Liangqiu Xuanyi was startled. After a long time, she said, My grandfather won't be able to return. Jiang Changkong raised his head to look at the sky. Beyond the sky was a boundless starry sky. Liangqiu Xuanyi's grandfather had participated in a starry sky expedition and had not returned for over a decade. He couldn't come back. Did he fall in the starry sky? I once used my master's connections to investigate the expedition team back then. What I found was a list of the dead. The cause of my grandfather's death was the Immortal Palace. Liangqiu Xuanyi's expression turned fierce. No matter what, I want the Immortal Palace destroyed, no matter the price. What exactly is your master trying to do? Is she secretly nurturing you people to overthrow the Immortal Palace? Feng Qixing pondered and said, Let's not talk about whether she can succeed or not. Even if she succeeds, what will your master obtain? Could it be that she is also seeking revenge? That's simple. Tell me where your master is. I'll search her soul, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. As long as he could find her, he could search her soul. What if my master really has a grudge against me? My grandfather's death was definitely not caused by my master. Liangqiu Xuanyi said angrily. Although my master is strong, she has only recently broken through to the star path. In the past, she was only a star body martial artist. How could she contact the people from the expedition team? Feng Qixing muttered. Even a martial artist who has just broken through to the star path still obtained so many top-grade medicines. Don't talk nonsense. What do I, Liangqiu Xuanyi, have to deserve such a scheme from my master? Liangqiu Xuanyi said coldly. My talent is not as good as yours. My strength is only at the early stage star embryo realm, and my appearance is only passable. You're really humble. I'm only a few years older than you. I have more cultivation resources, and the experts I teach are better. Feng Qixing stood up and said indifferently, In terms of true talent, you're definitely not inferior to me. All right, don't be humble. Let's go to the Immortal Palace's stronghold first and get what I want. Jiang Changkong interrupted them and floated in the air. As for you people from the starry sky and the people from the Immortal Palace, I'll deal with you one by one when I reach the peak. Feng Qixing, Liangqiu Xuanyi, we really don't want to bring you there anymore. If we let you break through, will the forces behind us still be alive? However, this guy knew how to search souls. They had no choice but to bring him there. Chapter 366. 7 days later, in a dense forest, many houses were hidden under the cover of the ancient trees. There were surveillance cameras everywhere, and the ground was engraved with star arrays. Starlight flowed, and the star arrays operated slowly. Deep in the forest, a green barrier shone, protecting the houses. Jiang Changkong and the other two stood in the sky and looked down at the houses below. This is the Celestial Palace's base. Yes, all the information you want is inside, Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. But the defense here is extremely strong. Even the Star Path sect might not be able to escape unscathed. Miss Schwani, you should have prepared for this, right? Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Liangqiu Schwani took out a green token. This is the token of this base. Once it's activated, the methods here will be useless against you. This base? Are there many Celestial Palaces bases here? Jiang Changkong asked. Feng Qixing said, they're everywhere. You might not be able to kill them all. Liangqiu Schwani nodded. I only have the token of this base. I don't have anything else. Then I'll go in. You guys wait outside. Jiang Changkong took the token and prepared to go down. Okay, we'll wait for you here. Liangqiu Schwani nodded. Jiang Changkong wasn't in a hurry to leave. He looked at Feng Qixing and asked, Are you going to contact the Wind Vane? Feng Qixing's face twitched. Changkong, you must be joking. Why would I do that? I'll keep an eye on him, Liangqiu Schwani said. Jiang Changkong didn't say anything else. He took the token and flew down. Inside the barrier, many figures were busy working. In front of each wooden house, there were martial artists guarding. Their strength was not low, and they were basically all high-level martial artists. Jiang Changkong didn't hide when he arrived, so he quickly attracted their attention. The green barrier trembled. The surrounding trees glowed green, and huge branches whipped at him. He infused astral power into the token in his hand, and it glowed green. The branches that were whipping at him stopped abruptly and quickly retracted. The barrier below opened automatically, revealing a passage that was as wide as a person's width. Seeing this, he confirmed that the token was really useful. After the martial artists inside saw the token, they returned to their original positions and continued to stand guard. A white-haired old man looked up at him, his face brimming with a smile. Welcome, my lord. Yes. Jiang Changkong's feet stepped on the ground, and he responded with an indifferent tone. Sir, may I know which palace of immortal palaces you are from? Which lord are you? Why do you sound so unfamiliar? The elder asked carefully. It's the research palace. Jiang Changkong's eyes flashed, and he pressed his palm on the old man's head. Soul-searching secret art. As for the immortal palace, he only knew a few palaces. As for the specific identity, he was too lazy to make it up. He might as well take action directly. Enemy! With a shout, the martial artists guarding the area all pounced on Jiang Changkong with dazzling star power. Rumble! The earth trembled as the star array was activated. Dense Taoist rhymes rose. The token in Jiang Changkong's hand gave off a green light, and also contained a trace of Tao runes. The formation's starlight automatically avoided Jiang Changkong, and it was of no use. As the martial artists in the surroundings pounced on him, Jiang Changkong flicked his finger, and his soul power swept out. The martial artists that were rushing over all froze, and their gazes turned dull. Streams of soul power flew out from the bodies of these martial artists. Countless roots extended from the soul, stabilizing tree and devoured their souls. Letting go of the elder, Jiang Changkong's gaze turned cold. Just like the star demon in his territory, these people were all researching celestial bodies. However, these people's research was more profound than the star demons, and the scope of their research was wider. They would also study some cosmic species and the remains of some experts. These people had done many things like digging graves. With a point of his finger, the old man's body exploded into a blood mist, and his soul was absorbed by the soul-stabilizing tree. Which evil creature dares to court death? An angry roar rang out, and a group of people rushed out of the house. The few people in the lead were peak star realm cultivators who had comprehended a trace of the great Tao. Screech! A golden crow let out a long cry. A golden crow burned with raging flames, burning the sky and boiling the sea. 10th grade treasure. Jiang Changkong's expression was calm. The few peak star realm cultivators here were all sun star power cultivators. The 3 great celestial bodies were activated, and killing formations crisscrossed. Thousands of flowers bloomed. The expressions of the few martial artists changed, and they fell into an illusion. The 10th grade golden crow spewed sun fire, burning their martial artists. Jiang Changkong's soul power swept out, enveloping these houses. Some of the people who were still researching in the houses walked out one by one. The golden crow's fire turned the martial artists into ashes. The soul-stabilizing tree's roots spread out, frenziedly devouring souls. 15 minutes later, other than Jiang Changkong, there were no other living beings in the ethereal, immortal palace's stronghold. The soul-stabilizing tree also grew a little taller. The two of you come down. Jiang Changkong looked at the sky, and his token flickered with light. The formation automatically stopped, and the barrier dissipated. After searching the soul, he had already grasped the method to control this place. The two of them flew down, and Liangqiu Xuani said calmly, he didn't send out any news. Feng Qixing was helpless. Liangqiu Xuani kept a close eye on him, and he didn't dare to use any methods. Once he used any methods, unless he killed Liangqiu Xuani, Jiang Changkong would also search his soul if he didn't send out any news. He didn't want his soul to be searched. The Wind bloodline had some secrets that he didn't want others to know. They're the things I want here, and there are also instruments. Let's deal with the star crystals. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. There were instruments to deal with star crystals here. There were many resources in this ethereal, immortal palace's stronghold. Even if he didn't use them, he could bring them back. Your soul-searching art is really useful, Feng Qixing said enviously. With his soul-searching art, what secrets were there that he couldn't know? Jiang Changkong brought them into a house, and there were all sorts of instruments and corpses of all kinds of living beings. Damn it! Feng Qixing's expression changed drastically when he saw a corpse, and he rushed over. This is someone from your Wind bloodline. Jiang Changkong looked at the corpse. It was a youth. He is my little brother. Feng Qixing carefully picked up the corpse with a sorrowful expression. This damned, ethereal, immortal palace should have been destroyed long ago. I haven't seen you move for so many years, Liangqiu Xuani said calmly. In the past, there was no enmity between us, so you could sit back and do nothing. Now, you only have regret. All right, let's bury these corpses, Jiang Changkong said with a sigh. Burn them. Scatter the ashes. Liangqiu Xuani was silent for a moment, and then said, they're all cultivators. Don't let them be dug out for star crystals in the future. Jiang Changkong, I'm very embarrassed by what you said. Feng Qixing nodded and brought the corpses out to burn them. However, he didn't burn his little brother's corpse. Instead, he kept it. He wanted to bring it back to the Wind bloodline. Jiang Changkong dealt with the corpses, and he tapped on the instruments to find the information he needed. Sun Astral Array, White Cloud Astral Array. There was also their research on the 3 elemental constitutions and the ultimate combat body. Liangqiu Xuani was dealing with the star crystals. Jiang Changkong had given him quite a lot. Help me deal with them too. I'm going into closed-door cultivation, Jiang Changkong said. Liangqiu Xuani nodded. Don't go into closed-door cultivation here. The ethereal immortal palace's people might come at any time. I understand. Deal with the star crystals. Take these instruments away and find a place with no one around to enter closed-door cultivation. If the ethereal immortal palace discovered that he had come and destroyed this place, it was very likely that they would send a star path cultivator over. Jiang Changkong wasn't ready to become enemies with a star path cultivator yet. Chapter 367. He transferred all the information into his phone and saved another copy of the information he wanted. Liangqiu Xuani was processing the star crystals while Feng Qixing was grieving at the side. The star crystals were quickly processed by the machine. Liangqiu Xuani went to the other houses to look for other things. There were many good things in the stronghold of the Immortal Palace. Some 10th-grade medicines and 10th-grade ingredients were all precious items. Unfortunately, there was not a single level 10 star crystal. After Jiang Changkong recorded the information, he searched with Liangqiu Xuani. It's a pity that there aren't any 10th level extreme yang blades here, nor are there any extreme yin blades. Jiang Changkong was somewhat disappointed. At his level, he desperately needed a weapon that could bear the weight of the Great Tao. You could dismantle the Golden Crow. Perhaps you might be able to forge one, Liangqiu Xuani said. Jiang Changkong shook his head. The Golden Crow was a good treasure, and he planned to keep it. Now that he knew about the Immortal Palace's stronghold and a group of wealthy Star Remnant citizens, he saw hope for the Star Path. However, the number of star crystals he had collected was already very large. This time, the Divine Palace's stronghold had also gained a lot of star crystals, but he didn't know the exact amount. But the initial estimate was still a few million yuan. Once he found a few more bases, it wouldn't be a problem for him to reach the peak of the star realm. Without further chatting, Jiang Changkong focused his attention on the soul inheritance. There was a secret soul technique here, soul incarnation, using various materials or the corpses of cultivators to possess and create a clone. The strength of the doppelganger would not automatically increase. It would have to replenish its strength on its own, just like a puppet. Many soul martial artists liked this kind of secret art. They could create another version of themselves to resist death tribulations. Right now, there were quite a few Tier 9 materials, but Jiang Changkong did not intend to use these materials. There were also many warriors in the Immortal Palace. There were also some with the power of the Moonstar, although 80% of them were female. However, it was only a temporary clone, and it was wearing a black robe, so no one paid any mind. Even if they knew, a woman could dispel their suspicions about him. Other than soul incarnation, there were all kinds of secret soul techniques, such as soul killing sound, soul invasion, soul escape, and so on. Jiang Changkong's energy was limited, so he only learned what he was interested in and useful. There were too many near-God inheritances, and some of them weren't that powerful. Learning them would be a complete waste of time. A few days later, all the star crystals were dealt with, and the 3 of them left. They had also brought along the equipment for processing star crystals. It could be used as long as there was star power. Zhang Xian returned the token to Liangqiu Xuani after they were far away from the base of the Palace of Immortals. Don't be sad. Kill a few more Immortal Palace warriors to avenge him. Jiang Changkong didn't know how to comfort Feng Qixing. Even now, he still hadn't walked out of his sorrow. I know, thank you. Feng Qixing sighed. His mood was still low. With a calm expression, Liangqiu Xuani said, Changkong, don't bother with him. Go and enter closed-door training if you need to. Jiang Changkong was stunned for a moment. You're too heartless. Even Feng Qixing looked at her with some dissatisfaction. Who hasn't lost a loved one before? Liangqiu Xuani said calmly. If grieving was of any use, I wouldn't have walked out of it even now. All right, pretend I didn't say anything. Jiang Changkong walked to the side, organized his star crystals, and began his seclusion. Star crystals of low grade, 8th tier, 1,380,000. Mid-grade star crystals, 1,160,000. High-grade star crystals, 1 million. Top, 800,000. Lower tier, 9 star crystals, 600,000. Mid-grade star crystals, 420,000. High-grade star crystals, 210,000. Top, 90,000. Essence, Spirit, and Spirit, 342 million. This was Jiang Changkong's harvest during this period of time. Among them, the Immortal Palace's stronghold accounted for the most, occupying more than half. Then there were the 5 fellows of Wind Rising Star and the 7-star Demon. Those people had stayed in the depths of the Void Realm for too long. It would be enough for him to step into the peak of the Star Realm, and he would still have 100 million left. He wasn't in a hurry to improve it. First, he carved the star formation. The sun and the white clouds needed to be improved. If he could comprehend the great Tao of stars, then when he leveled up, his great Tao imprint would also improve. Jiang Changkong merged with the world, while Liangqiu Xuani and Feng Qixing sat to the side. Through Liangqiu Xuani's words earlier, Feng Qixing was no longer as sad as before. Merely, he did not say anything. The 2 of them sat there quietly until night fell. Liangqiu Xuani looked up at the starry sky. In the blink of an eye, several days had passed. That night, Feng Qixing finally spoke. Your grandfather is no longer around. Why are you still looking at the starry sky? Because I've never walked out of it. I was lying to you that day. Liangqiu Xuani said calmly. Even now, I still remember grandfather's teachings. I have to handle things calmly, so that others cannot see through my feelings. Feng Qixing sighed softly. Since ancient times, immortals and gods have coexisted in the world. If there is an immortal in the family, They can ask the immortal to take action and resurrect the dead. There are no immortals anymore. My grandfather has also passed away many years ago, Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. There are no immortals anymore, but there are definitely some treasures that can resurrect the dead. Feng Qixing said with certainty. So what? The battle palace is an immortal palace. Isn't it still broken? Even if there are treasures like that, they would have already been broken. Liangqiu Xuanyi shook her head. Immortal treasures contain unimaginable power. The most basic thing is that they can automatically restore themselves. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. The battle palace is destroyed, but if we find the 9-story palace, it can automatically restore itself. After saying so much, you want me to find treasures that can resurrect the dead? Liangqiu Xuanyi looked at him with a trace of amusement on her calm face. It's dark now. You can go to sleep. You could dream about anything. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Feng Qixing lowered his voice. Are you planning to follow Jiang Changkong forever? That's right, until my master gives me a new mission. Wait, haven't you thought about escaping? What's the difference between the two of us and prisoners? Feng Qixing said helplessly. His voice grew louder. Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly, I don't think of myself as a prisoner. Furthermore, aren't you afraid that he will hear you? He should be in closed-door training right now. He won't be able to wake up for some time. Now is the best time for us to leave. Feng Qixing did not want to be with Jiang Changkong anymore. He did not feel safe at all. He was like a prisoner. If you want to leave, I can't stop you, Liangqiu Xuanyi said. What I want is the destruction of the ethereal immortal palace. I'll take him to the stronghold here. Haha, aren't you worried that Jiang Changkong will get rid of you after you've outgrown your usefulness? Will he still keep you when you no longer have any value? Feng Qixing sneered. Although I don't know him very well, as someone who could reach the heavenly body tier step by step, which one of them isn't ruthless? Liangqiu Xuanyi glanced at him calmly. Then just die. Perhaps there really is a hell that hasn't been destroyed yet. I'll be able to see my grandfather. Feng Qixing, all right, she's a crazy woman. It doesn't make sense at all. I advise you not to leave, Liangqiu Xuanyi said slowly. If you leave, your people won't be able to kill Jiang Changkong. Your Wen bloodline will be in big trouble. If I don't cause trouble for him, we'll never meet again. Did you forget that he searched your neighbor's soul? Chapter 368. Feng Qixing was a little depressed. Jiang Changkong had searched the soul of a gold vein martial artist. Does he know where the gold vein is? He definitely knew. In fact, Jiang Changkong probably knew about the Wen vein's territory, but he didn't say anything. If Feng Qixing ran away, even if he didn't find trouble with Jiang Changkong could still find him himself. He didn't think that Jiang Changkong would go there soon. He would definitely wait until he was strong enough. Or he could go to the Federation and shout for them to discover the remnants of the universe or something. The Federation would definitely send a bunch of people to capture them and bring them back for research. As for moving with the Wen vein, if that group of people knew that Jiang Changkong was here, they would definitely rush out to capture him. What about inviting a Star Path martial artist? Feng Qixing pondered. How about you don't say it? I will invite a Star Path martial artist over. Either you kill me, or you don't have to. A trace of coldness appeared in Liangqiu Xuanyi's eyes. I want him to help me destroy the ethereal immortal palace's stronghold. If I force it, Feng Qixing's expression was slightly angry. His body shone with a green light, but as soon as it lit up, it dimmed. Blood seeped out of his 7 apertures, and his expression was hideous and terrifying. Jiang Changkong. Feng Qixing's expression was solemn. Unknowingly, there was a hidden force in his soul. Jiang Changkong's soul strength. Liangqiu Xuanyi said calmly. Do you think that he's stupid and thinks that I can keep an eye on you? Feng Qixing fell silent. He had no choice but to accept the fact that he couldn't resist. Think about it in another way. Jiang Changkong destroyed the stronghold of the Divine Palace to avenge your little brother, didn't he? Liangqiu Xuanyi said indifferently. As for your Wen vein, I refuse to believe that no one has died at the hands of the ethereal immortal palace in the past. Yes. Feng Qixing nodded sadly. That's it. If you return to the Wen bloodline, you won't be able to take revenge. You'll be a prisoner, and someone will take revenge for you. Liang Xiao Xuani said indifferently. Why didn't you choose to be a prisoner? Feng Qixing opened his mouth, momentarily speechless. He suddenly began to understand Liang Xiao Xuani. He was powerless against hatred. In that case, he could only rely on other forces to take revenge. Liang Xiao Xuani also took out her star crystal and began cultivating. The two of them stopped talking. In the sky, Jiang Changkong was still in seclusion, as if he knew nothing. Time flew by, and after 2 months, a huge sun appeared in the sky. It was a real sun. The sun true fire, which could burn the sky and boil the sea, melted everything it passed. The two's expressions changed. Fortunately, the energy instantly changed and became warm. The warm light made their bodies feel lighter. The dense vitality caused the withered weeds in the distance to grow again. A trace of Tao runes circulated within the sun. In the blink of an eye, the great sun transformed into a white cloud that drifted about in the sky. It drifted about indeterminately and emitted a special aura of the Tao. He has indeed improved again. Feng Qixing looked at the white clouds in the sky and felt a sense of powerlessness. In the face of such a monster, who would dare to call themselves a genius? The white clouds dissipated, but Jiang Changkong did not appear. Instead, he merged with heaven and earth. He wanted to upgrade his martial arts and reach the peak of the star realm. Far away from them, the 8 martial arts were upgraded at the same time. The 7 great stars manifested at the same time, and the number of formation patterns increased. The Tao mark was also strengthened, and the Tao runes were dense. The astral power in his body transformed, becoming more and more condensed and vast. At the same time, Jiang Changkong was also rapidly condensing a new star formation and strengthening his Tao mark. In the distance, the two were a little confused. He hasn't come out of seclusion yet. More than 2 months have passed. How long does this guy plan to cultivate until? Liang Xiao Xuani frowned. That's normal. Sometimes I go into seclusion and don't come out for 10 years. Feng Qixing said calmly, you have to get used to stepping into the high level. Liang Xiao Xuani did not say anything else. High-level martial artists had a long lifespan, and they could be said to be old and undying. Top-level martial artists were known to step into the demigod realm, and their lifespans were unknown. The two continued to wait patiently. In the end, they got really bored and ran far away to find the Immortal Palace's stronghold. Time passed, and no one knew how much time had passed. In the sky, the Tao runes were dense, and the 7 great stars hung in the void. Jiang Changkong slowly landed, and the 7 stars were retracted into his body. The number of force patterns in his body had also increased to 9. Jiang Changkong, Star Realm Peak High-Level Martial Arts, 3-foot golden body, perfected 1/171. 5 million Taiji Yin Yang art, perfected 1/171. 5 million Overlord Saber, perfected 1/171. 5 million Holy Sun art, perfected 1/171. 5 million God Governing art, perfected 1/171. 5 million Bright Moon art, perfected 1/171. 5 million White Cloud, 9-tier sutra, perfected 1/171. 5 million high-level middle-grade array Tao, battle body star formation, incomplete perfected 1/171. 5 million essence, chi, and spirit, 11262885. For inch another 3 months have passed. Time flies too fast. Jiang Changkong muttered, can I become a god in 10 years? Why am I a little worried? He had previously said that the Immortal Palace would not exist in 10 years. Now, it seemed that he was exaggerating. It would also take some time for him to step into the star Tao and head to the starry sky. Compared to those who went into seclusion for 10 years or decades, his progress was considered fast. However, Jiang Changkong still felt that it was too slow. If only the martial arts that he cultivated all had the speed of a god. So I forget it. A month of harvest, half a year of seclusion, this is my current state. Jiang Changkong shook his head and sensed where the two people were with his soul power. He did not know if he could fight against the Star Tao with his current strength. Compared to before, there was no need to compare. After reaching the peak of the Star Tao, it would not be a problem for him to instantly kill the previous him. He entered the world and appeared 1,000 miles away in the blink of an eye. Liang Xiaoshuani and Feng Qixing were roasting a star demon under a tree. It seems that you're living a leisurely life. Jiang Changkong's figure appeared. Feng Qixing said helplessly, Changkong, if you still don't come out, we will be bored to death. It is indeed a little long. I also do not want to. But don't worry, before I have the confidence to break through to the Star Tao, I will not go into seclusion for so long. Jiang Changkong said. The two people's faces twitched. You're saying that you are about to break through to the Star Tao? Let's go and wipe out the Immortal Palace's stronghold. Jiang Changkong said. Feng Qixing led the way, and Jiang Changkong led them forward. In an instant, they covered 1,000 miles. His speed was so fast that even Feng Qixing was shocked. Your speed is almost comparable to the star path. Just walk around, it is faster to go at full speed. Jiang Changkong said indifferently. You really do not know how to be humble. Feng Qixing gritted his teeth. You can catch up to the Star Tao by going all out? How much further? Jiang Changkong asked. Feng Qixing calculated and said, more or less, you are 5 steps away. Jiang Changkong nodded. After 5 steps, they appeared above a valley. There were buildings below. It was the same as the previous stronghold's layout. This time, it was a golden barrier. Jiang Changkong praised. Your distance estimation is very accurate. There is no token this time. Be careful. Liang Xiaoshuani said. It is no longer a threat. Jiang Changkong waved his hand, and a sunset glow shrouded the place. The star formation silently dissipated, and the valley disappeared along with it. Only the buildings were left. The Immortal Palace martial artists were horrified and did not know what to do. Star Tao, you have definitely reached the Star Tao. Feng Qixing's eyes shone with green light as he said in shock, silently wiping out a rank 10 killing formation. This was not something a peak Star Tao could do. Even if this rank 10 killing formation was temporarily not activated and its power was insufficient. Chapter 369. Jiang Changkong didn't bother with him. His figure flashed and appeared in the valley below. Martial artists rushed over. Dao rhymes appeared in the sky, and the sunlight was dazzling. Silently, the martial artists disappeared from the world, leaving only some clothes and equipment behind. This guy has already become so terrifying, he was killed before even activating a rank 10 treasure. Liang Xiaoshuani was shocked. High-level martial artists are no different from ants in front of top-level martial artists, Feng Qixing said solemnly. This combat power has really reached the star path. Liang Xiaoshuani asked with uncertainty. Actually, I have never seen a star path martial artist fight, but Jiang Changkong has already surpassed the star path by too much. Feng Qixing said with an ugly expression. Before going into seclusion, he was already infinitely close to the star path. Liang Xiaoshuani did not speak. This was very likely to have reached the star path combat power. As he opened his eyes, the sun, moon, and stars rotated, and the great Tao imprint was engraved in the stars. Everywhere he looked, everything disappeared, leaving only what he wanted. The houses disappeared, the corpses disappeared, leaving only a pile of star crystals and a pile of equipment. The two descended from the sky and came to Jiang Changkong's side. All right, let's collect the spoils of war. Jiang Changkong stepped in and started to collect the star crystals, using the equipment to process them. Liang Xiaoshuani and Feng Qixing quickly helped. After counting the star crystals, the harvest was huge. There was close to 200 million essence, energy, and spirit. With a few more strongholds, he could step into the star path without looking for the remnant beings of space. Jiang Changkong heaved a sigh of relief. This way, he did not need to take risks. The remnant beings of space were overseen by star path martial artists. There were many mid and late-stage Star Path martial artists, but he did not know the peak Star Path martial artists. You can take a portion of the rank 7-star crystals, leave the rest for me, Jiang Changkong said calmly. Many thanks. Liang Xiaoxuani thanked him. Ever since she followed Jiang Changkong, she could not use up all the star crystals. With the help of the star crystals, she had reached the limit of the initial stage, star embryo. Although this speed of improvement was far from Jiang Changkong's, it was still faster than ordinary sky prides. Jiang Changkong continued to search for information with a hint of doubt. The research on the extreme yin and extreme yang only reaches the peak of the star path. The information he had previously found was also the peak of the star path. There were no star saints who were close to the god level. I'm not sure about that. Liang Xiaoxuani shook her head. Jiang Changkong nodded and didn't say anything else. He focused on sorting out the files and processing the star crystals. Buzz. Inside the spatial ring, a grayish-yellow bead vibrated. Jiang Changkong took it out, and a fluent voice in StarCraft came over. Good brother, where are you? Abyss Dragon? You came out of seclusion? Jiang Changkong asked in surprise. Feng Qixing and Liang Xiaoxuani's gazes gathered over. They were equally surprised. The Netherworld Abyssal Dragon was an expert who comprehended the Yellow Springs Great Tao. He had devoured the corpse of a star sage previously, so logically speaking, it would take several years or even decades for him to come out of seclusion. However, only half a year had passed, and the Abyssal Dragon came out of seclusion. I just killed a bunch of them at the location of my old enemy, Jiang Changkong said. Can't you sense the location of this bead? Yes, wait for me. The Abyssal Dragon's voice came over with a hint of dissatisfaction. How can you not call me when it comes to killing? Isn't it because I don't want to trouble you? Moreover, you also have to cultivate in seclusion, Jiang Changkong said. He paused for a moment, then asked, Why did you come out so soon? We'll talk about this when I come over. After the Abyssal Dragon finished speaking, the bead released traces of Taoist rhymes, which spread in the air. The three of them looked at each other, full of doubts. There was something wrong with this Abyssal Dragon. It was improving too quickly. Could it be that this Abyssal Dragon was also cheating? Not long after, a huge flood dragon appeared out of thin air with a strong stench. The Yellow Springs surged, and the Abyssal Dragon didn't seem to have changed much, except that it had grown by half. Its body was 150 zhang long. Then the Abyssal Dragon quickly shrunk to 1 zhang long and looked at Jiang Changkong excitedly. Good brother, don't come over. Put away your stench first. Jiang Changkong took 2 steps back. This Abyssal Dragon actually wanted to hug him. To hell with it, it stinks. The Yellow Springs shrank and entered his body, and the stench disappeared. Good brother, I have now stepped into the Star Path realm. As he said that, a strong Taoist might spread, and Liang Xiaoxuani directly fell to the ground, her face pale. Feng Qixing's body was also hunched, as if he was carrying a mountain on his back. Under the Taoist might, the ground was melting, and the void realm space trembled as if it could not withstand it. A top-level warrior could break through the void realm space. Jiang Changkong's expression was indifferent, as if he did not feel the pressure. This Abyssal Dragon made him feel some pressure. He was definitely not a match for it with star power alone, but with the 3 astral bodies, he could only be a loach. After showing off for a while, the Abyssal Dragon retracted its Taoist might. Brother Changkong, thank you for giving me that body. You're welcome. I have no use for the body. Jiang Changkong smiled. Are souls useful to you? Not much. The Yellow Springs lineage originally had the Ghost Path and the Corpse Path, which could be cultivated at the same time. It's just that I was born too late, and the Yellow Springs lineage's inheritance was cut off. There is no Ghost Path, so I can only focus on the Corpse Path. The Abyssal Dragon said, When I find the Ghost Path inheritance one day, my endless Yellow Springs will have thousands of evil spirits. I have a near God-level soul inheritance. If you need it, I can pass it to you, Jiang Changkong said after some thought. His generosity should be able to gain the Abyssal Dragon's favor, right? How about this? Do you want to share your rapid cultivation method? You really are my good brother, the abyssal dragon said emotionally, then shook his head. The ghost path of the Yellow Springs is not a pure soul martial path. It is of no help to me. Then I can only prepare a corpse for you. Jiang Changkong said regretfully, it's a pity that I didn't know you came out of seclusion. Not a single corpse was left. It's all right. Next, we brothers will work together to kill all living beings and turn the Void Realm into a world of death. The abyssal dragon said with a look of longing. Feng Qixing and Liang Xiaoshuani, are you crazy? You've just stepped into the star path, and you're already this arrogant? Be careful that you don't provoke a star sage, and he will destroy you. Jiang Changkong coughed softly and said, Brother, if you have strength, you must know how to keep a low profile. In this world, there are still star sages and near-god-level people. Moreover, other than star sages and near-god-level people, there are also mid-stage star path and star sage powerhouses. The abyssal dragon nodded and said mysteriously, I understand. Changkong, come with me. Okay. Jiang Changkong was moved and followed the abyssal dragon to the side. After getting away from the two, the abyssal dragon lowered its voice and said, Brother, are you curious why I came out of seclusion so quickly? Very curious. Jiang Changkong admitted, I'm even tempted. The abyssal dragon laughed and said, It'd be strange if I'm not tempted. Let me tell you, I have a treasure in my hands. I don't know what it is, but it's what allowed me to be born in advance. Originally, I was just a spirit of the Yellow Springs, but the Yellow Springs unexpectedly gave birth to a wisp of consciousness. There's a mystical item in the Yellow Springs that allowed me to grow rapidly. Jiang Changkong was even more curious. What mystical item is it? This. A palm-sized golden slate appeared in the abyssal dragon's hand. There were no patterns on it, but it emitted a mysterious aura. Jiang Changkong could not see anything strange. Can I see it? Take it. The abyssal dragon threw it to him. Jiang Changkong squeezed it and could not move it at all. There was nothing extraordinary about it either. It was like a piece of scrap metal in his hand. I can't tell. This thing has already recognized me as its master. Although it doesn't have much power, it can speed up the transformation, comprehension, and condensation of the great Tao. The abyssal dragon said in a low voice, I'll only tell you about this treasure, brother. Only I can use it. I definitely won't tell anyone. Don't worry, brother, Jiang Changkong said. Speed up condensation of the great Tao. This was what he needed, an auxiliary divine tool. However, he did not want to snatch it. The abyssal dragon was clearly inexperienced. A dragon stayed in the Yellow Springs and did not move. He gave it the Star Saint's corpse and taught it the star text. Obviously, the abyssal dragon regarded him as a real brother. He could not snatch his brother's things. Of course, the abyssal dragon dared to take it out because it had achieved the star path. It could definitely suppress him and was not afraid that he would have evil intentions. As for this, Jiang Changkong did not point it out. The abyssal dragon would know in the future. The abyssal dragon proudly showed off its treasure. Seeing that Jiang Changkong was not tempted at all, it was even more relieved. Its claw patted Jiang Changkong's shoulder and said solemnly, Brother, don't worry. If you need to go into seclusion in the future, just look for Brother Dragon. Jiang Changkong's mouth twitched. Brother Dragon. All right, you're old. I'll be your brother. Chapter 370. The Abyss Dragon's arrival gave Jiang Changkong some understanding of the star path. He did not need to care about martial artists who had just stepped into the star path. There were many strongholds in the Immortal Palace. Once he perfected his martial arts or stepped into the star path, one attribute was probably no weaker than the early stage of the star path. The human and dragon returned to the device. The Abyss Dragon lay beside it, very curious. This thing can process star crystals? The Abyss Dragon smacked its lips, feeling very magical. It's really fast. Just put it in. Do you usually not move in the Yellow Springs? Jiang Changkong asked. The Abyss Dragon turned to look at him. I don't usually move. I want to comprehend the great Tao. Then why are you willing to move now? Jiang Changkong was sure that this was a shut-in dragon. Moreover, it was a veteran shut-in who had not moved for decades. Feng Qixing interrupted. The Star Sage's corpse cultivates much faster than him. It will definitely come out. The Abyss Dragon nodded. Brother Changkong, whose grave are we going to dig later? Jiang Changkong, you guy don't always want to dig graves. I wanted to, but there is no news. He also did not know where there were ruins. However, the Abyss Dragon needed corpses, so it should need skeletons too. Should he trick him back and take him to the ancient battlefield? Do you want white bones? Jiang Changkong asked. There are only white bones left. There is no flesh or blood. There's a lot of energy. If the great Tao imprint has not dissipated, it will be of some help, the Abyss Dragon replied. I have already stepped into the star path. Corpses without comprehending the great Tao are useless to me. Jiang Changkong thought of the golden skeleton deep in the ancient battlefield. It should have been a top martial artist when he was alive. At this point, the Abyss Dragon was somewhat infatuated. The Star Sage's corpse lost too much of its great Tao imprint. Otherwise, I could have improved further. Even with the protection of the star array, after so many years, the Star Sage's corpse's great Tao imprint had dissipated a lot. The Abyss Dragon digested the corpse and comprehended the Yellow Springs corpse Tao. It did not care about martial artists of any element, as long as it was a corpse. Where are the star crystals? Jiang Changkong had to figure this out. If he still needed star crystals, then he would have to discuss his next move carefully. The star crystal no longer has death chi. Abyss Dragon shook his head. If there is a pure corpse path star crystal, that will be of great use to me. I don't have anything else. Only then did Jiang Changkong heave a sigh of relief. There was no conflict of interest, so he could work with them without worry. Feng Qixing muttered, previously we saw a giant corpse with a very powerful great Tao imprint. It was in a treasure trove close to divinity. The Abyss Dragon's eyes lit up, and he looked at Jiang Changkong in excitement. It was obvious that it wanted to devour the corpse. Don't talk nonsense. Focus on processing the star crystals. Jiang Changkong frowned. Feng Qixing was really courting death. If the Abyss Dragon really ran over, there was an 80% chance that it would be pressed down and rubbed against. It would not even be able to fight back. Not to mention the living demigod. The group of soul worms alone was enough to eat the Abyss Dragon. Feng Qixing smiled awkwardly and quickly explained to the Dark Dragon. The Dark Dragon gave up on the idea and continued to look at the apparatus. There were many apparatus here. The apparatus of the two strongholds added together, along with the star crystals, had already processed a lot. In just 2 days, all the star crystals have been processed. Liangxiu Xuani got some of the rank 7 ones, and Jiang Changkong took the rest. Why don't you give me some too? Feng Qixing said eagerly. Wait until you learn to be obedient. Did you want to run before and even hire people to deal with me? Jiang Changkong said coldly. These star crystals were still useful to him, so he couldn't give them to Feng Qixing, not even one piece. Before Feng Qixing could speak, the Abyss Dragon's gaze landed on him, and a trace of killing intent locked onto him. A misunderstanding, I was just saying it casually. Feng Qixing quickly said. This Abyss Dragon was clearly siding with Jiang Changkong. The person in question didn't even say anything, so why were you so anxious? Jiang Changkong waved his hand and said, let's go to the next Immortal Palace stronghold. 3 people and 1 dragon merged into heaven and earth, heading to the next Immortal Palace stronghold. Buzz. After a few steps, the 3 people and 1 dragon left heaven and earth at the same time. Many strange star formations appeared in the void before them. The star formations covered the void, sealing off a radius of 50 kilometers, blocking the way. Liangxiu Xuani frowned and said, could it be that the Immortal Palace's people are on guard? Rumble. Right after she said that, an overwhelming star power appeared in front of them. Star power of all colors surged, and a green tornado emitted traces of Tao. A woman dressed in green stood on the tornado, wind blades covering the sky around her. There were also 2 men and a woman hiding in the storm. Flames rushed into the sky, and in the scarlet light, a flaming bird circled, breathing out divine fire. The Tao was dense, and these were all experts who had comprehended the great Mark. In the distance, a person wearing battle armor stood and watched the battle from afar. Below, the blazing sun surged, and the sun barrier blocked the power of wind and fire. A group of martial artists ran within the barrier, and 3 ranked 10 golden crows flapped their wings and flew out, their might unfathomable. The golden crows soared into the sky, breathing out the flames of the sun. The Tao was dense, and everywhere they passed, the green wind blades disappeared. Screech! The flaming bird rushed over and clashed with the golden crows. 2 golden crows met the bird, and one of them breathed out the flames of the sun, burning the green tornado. Rumble! With the appearance of the 3 golden crows, the wind and fire sides immediately fell into a disadvantage. Third sister, little sister, why are the fire vane here? Feng Qixing's expression changed, and he was about to rush over. It's the wind vanes, people. Jiang Changkong felt it was strange. What's wrong with the wind vane? Why are you finding trouble with the immortal palace? It's because of my junior sister. Liang Xiaoshuani looked at the armored woman, and her eyes flickered. I didn't expect my master to have news about you and actually be able to invite you. Jiang Changkong smiled. Your master is really capable. You came to invite me, and the rest of you invited the remnant stars. Brother, don't talk nonsense. Eat them all, the Abyss Dragon said excitedly. The Yellow Springs had already been mobilized again, and it was ready to rush in and eat everyone. Changkong, the wind vane really doesn't have any ill intentions towards you. Please show mercy. Feng Qixing's expression changed, and he pleaded. A nether dragon at the peak of the star path could already sweep through this place, not to mention Jiang Changkong, whose battle prowess was at the star path. Brother Dragon, my target is the immortal palace below. Don't kill the people above, Jiang Changkong said. The Abyss Dragon nodded. I'll listen to you, brother. However, these people are too weak. Quickly finish them off, and we'll go look for the corpses. After tasting the sweetness and experiencing the feeling of rapid improvement, the Abyss Dragon no longer cared about those below the star path. Only the cultivators who comprehended the great Tao could fill the gaps between his teeth. Don't destroy their spatial equipment. Leave the astral crystals for me. Jiang Changkong instructed, and he stepped into the battlefield. Roar! The Abyss Dragon was already impatient, and it turned into a 350-meter-long dragon body and rushed into the battlefield. Jiang Changkong led the 2 into the formation, and a pressure assaulted them. As the Tao circulated, the pressure immediately dissipated. Netherworld Dragon. The Abyss Dragon's appearance attracted everyone's attention. This was a master that left only death in its path, and it was a star path Netherworld Dragon. Chapter 371. Whoosh! The Yellow Springs claimed one's life. Wherever it passed, there would be no life left. Rumble! The sky shook violently. The wind and fire arrays emitted dense Tao energy, but they couldn't stop the power of the Yellow Spring. Crack, crack! Like a chain breaking, the patterns of the star arrays broke, and the power of wind and fire dissipated. The power of the storm and the flaming birds had weakened a little. Green and red blood spilled. Those with the wind and fire branches couldn't stop the golden crows and were sent flying. The power of wind and fire appeared in the air and surged toward the Netherworld Dragon. A bunch of ants. The Netherworld Dragon waved its claws in disdain. The aura of death was dense. The gray aura of death swept up the Yellow Spring and destroyed the wind and fire. The power of wind and fire dissipated, and the Tao energy spread. The wind and fire branches were injured again. The armored figures in the distance flew away in a panic. However, before they could get far, Yellow Springs blocked their way. Screech! The 3 golden crows gave up on their opponents and charged at the Netherworld Dragon. The sun's fire burned the sky and boiled the ocean, trying to burn the Yellow Spring. I'm not afraid of you now. After stepping into the star path, the Netherworld Dragon was no longer afraid of those rank 10 golden crows. Whoosh! The water of the Yellow Spring fell, extinguishing the sun's fire and corroding the golden crows' bodies. The netherworld dragon opened its mouth and spat out endless corpse energy. The sky darkened. Boom! The 3 golden crows exploded and turned into a rain of fire. 3 solar source stones flew toward Jiang Changkong. Jiang Changkong took them. This netherworld dragon was a good friend. Netherworld dragon. The netherworld dragon is here. Terrified screams sounded. The celestial palace's stronghold was in chaos. The sun barrier emitted a vast amount of star energy, and the Tao energy became denser, blocking the yellow spring. Those with the wind and fire branches were blocked by the yellow spring and couldn't escape. In their panic, they saw Feng Qixing and hurriedly called out, Qixing's senior sister Xuani. The armor also called out excitedly. Changkong, let's go, Liangqiu Xuani said. Jiang Changkong nodded. Brother Dragon, I'll send them over first and then destroy this place with you. Brother, go ahead and play. Leave these ants to me. The abyss dragon swung its claw and pressed it against the barrier. Boom! The barrier, which was emitting a dense Taoist rhyme, shattered immediately, and the yellow springs poured in. The yellow spring corroded everything, but the abyss dragon controlled it very well. It was the spirit of the yellow springs, and the yellow springs could be said to be its main body, and its control was perfect. It could be said that the yellow springs was like Jiang Changkong's spirit-controlling art. The abyss dragon knew every single place it went. One by one, the martial artists turned into corpse water and merged with the yellow springs. Lord Netherworld Dragon, if there are martial artists with wind and fire powers, please show mercy, Feng Qixing hurriedly said. The people of the wind and fire veins would not attack the immortal palace for no reason. When Xiao Chun thought of his subordinates' corpses, it was likely that the immortal palace had captured them. The abyss dragon cast a glance at Jiang Changkong, and when he saw him nod, he stopped attacking. With the abyss dragon's help, Jiang Changkong was also defeated once. He would just treat it as a chance for the abyss dragon to practice. It had just broken through, so it should be a little excited. There were 4 people from the wind vein, 2 men and 2 women, and 2 young men from the fire vein. However, these people were not weak. The weakest was at the peak of the mid-stage star-body realm, and the strongest 2 were at the peak of the star-body realm. The 2 peaks star-body realm cultivators had comprehended a trace of the great Tao. The armored woman was only at the early stage star embryo realm, similar to Liangqiu Xuani. Now, Liangqiu Xuani was almost at the mid-stage star embryo realm. The armored woman came up to them and asked, Senior sister, why are you here with the people of the wind vein? The mid-stage star-body realm girl of the wind vein pounced at Feng Qixing. Brother Qixing, when did you come back? Didn't you go to capture Jiang Changkong? Did you catch him? Ahem. Feng Qixing coughed softly and pushed the girl away. He winked and said, Little sister, Jiang Changkong is our honored guest. How can you say that we captured him? Yes, he is our honored guest, but Jiang Changkong will definitely not come over obediently. We can't reveal his background, so we can only capture him. The girl tilted her head and said, Tell me, where is Jiang Changkong? Feng Qixing's face twitched. He pointed at Jiang Changkong and said, This is Lord Jiang, a good friend of the Dark Dragon. He's extremely powerful. Jiang Changkong looked at Feng Qixing with a teasing look, then at the girl. I've been listening to Feng Qixing's stories about the wind vein. You too are from the wind vein? Are you from the fire vein? You even know about the fire vein? The 2 young men looked at Jiang Changkong cautiously, their fiery astral power fluctuating violently. I advise you to calm down, Jiang Changkong said indifferently. Feng Shuling of the wind vein greets Lord Jiang. The girl in green said with a cupped fist salute. Lord Jiang, this is my 3rd sister, and this is my little sister, Feng Xiaoye. 5th brother, Feng Hechuan. 6th brother, Feng Wen. These are the 2 brothers of the fire vein, Yan Hai and Yan Mo. Feng Qixing quickly introduced them, then repeated, Changkong is the Dark Dragon's brother, and he's extremely powerful. He was really afraid that these guys wouldn't know what was good for them and would kidnap Jiang Changkong back. This is my junior sister, Ling Hua, Liangqiu Xuani introduced. Jiang Changkong nodded slightly. They knew each other. Why did you attack the Immortal Palace's base? He didn't believe that these people would attack the Immortal Palace without a reason. We tracked down my younger brother's information and found out that it's related to the Immortal Palace. Miss Linghua gave us evidence. We didn't inform our family and came by ourselves, Feng Xiaoya said. Younger brother has been killed, Feng Qixing said painfully. Changkong attacked and destroyed the Immortal Palace's base. I found his corpse. Immortal Palace. Feng Shuling and the others looked at their younger brother's corpse with cold expressions. The two from the fire vein were also grieving. Linghua looked down. The dark dragon had already wiped out the base. Why are you with the Netherworld Abyssal Dragon? Also, this dark dragon has reached the Star Path realm. They basically knew about the Netherworld Abyssal Dragon. Logically speaking, it shouldn't have been possible for him to reach the Star Path without at least a decade or two. But now, he had reached the Star Path and was hanging out with them. You guys talk. I'll go down and take a look. Jiang Changkong left in a flash. He was going to harvest the astral crystals. One base at close to 200 million astral crystals. The dark dragon was digesting the corpse with a satisfied expression. It's so comfortable. It'd be great if I could have this every day. I'll go find another base later. Jiang Changkong said calmly, but we have to be careful. The Immortal Palace will definitely react after destroying several bases. Brother, you're worrying too much. Who would dare to be presumptuous with me around? The dark dragon raised his head and said proudly. The Immortal Palace also has the Star Path. Be careful, Jiang Changkong reminded. The dark dragon had already become arrogant after stepping into the Star Path. Look at these astral crystals. They're all kept for you. The dark dragon changed the topic. He looked at the sky and swallowed his saliva. Can those few really not be eaten? Not for the time being. They're also my friends. Jiang Changkong frowned slightly. Don't worry. There will be plenty of corpses in the future. You won't be able to finish them. That's true. The dark dragon nodded heavily. If we sweep through the void realm, we won't be able to finish them. Jiang Changkong was speechless. I have this dream, but can you please keep it in mind? If you really do that, the Star Sage and the God Realm will come back and kill you. Moreover, there are still people from Earth in the Void Realm. I need to teach the Dark Dragon a lesson. Don't be greedy and eat everything. I should first count the astral crystals, then perfect my martial arts, and try to see if the Dark Dragon's treasures are useful. Chapter 372. Another 200 million. In addition to the previous harvest, he had a total of 400 million essence, energy, and spirit. It was enough for him to perfect 2 martial arts. Brother Dragon, after these star crystals are dealt with, I plan to go into seclusion. Lend me your treasure. No problem, the Dark Dragon said straightforwardly. It wouldn't take long for Jiang Changkong to perfect his martial arts this time. He just wanted to see if his treasure was useful to him and how useful it was. If he used it well, he would definitely be his brother in the future. He wouldn't go so far as to snatch the treasure, but he would bring him around. He had killed many people. This time, the star crystals were dealt with in less than 2 days. Those people were still chatting, while Jiang Changkong was preparing to go into seclusion. The dark dragon took out the golden stone slab and gently scratched it with his dragon claws. The stone slab immediately released a blurry golden light. The stone slab floated up and stopped above Jiang Changkong's head. The golden light it released enveloped Jiang Changkong. Brother, go into seclusion. I'll go out first. After saying that, the dark dragon turned around and left. Jiang Changkong was enveloped by the golden light. He felt his great Tao imprints become active and appear. The imprints left by the 2 true gods also appeared automatically, as if they had encountered a great tonic. What treasure is this? Jiang Changkong was curious, but he still couldn't see through it, so he could only give up. Perfect martial arts, 30 feet golden body, bright moon art. With 2 martial arts perfected, Jiang Changkong suppressed the fluctuations and didn't reveal any anomalies. Within the Stargate, there were 2 stars. The great Tao imprints and star array patterns increased. The star power increased, condensed, and turned into a terrifying power. Moreover, as the golden light scattered, The speed of condensation was very fast. He formed one in almost a breath's time. The Tao in his body became denser. Unfortunately, he still couldn't form one star with one drop of star power. He would see if he could comprehend it when he reached the star Tao realm. By then, he might be able to pry into the completed great Tao and change himself. With 2 martial arts perfected, Jiang Chankong's 9 force patterns swam in his body. If they appeared, they should be 1 meter thick. He was still very far from the dozens of feet of force patterns. The moon great Tao brought him closer to the bright moon. Jiang Chankong, Star Summit, high-tier, high-grade martial art. 3-foot golden body. Perfect 171. 5/171. 5-tai Qin Yang art. Perfect 1/171. 5 million domineering blade. Perfect 1/171. 5 million holy sun art. Perfected 1/171. 5 million God governing art. Perfected 1/171. 5 million bright moon art. Completed 171. 5/171. 5 white cloud 9-tier sutra. Completed 1/171. 5 million high-grade, middle-grade array Tao. Combat body star formation. Incomplete perfect 1/171.5 million essence, energy, and spirit. 12962885. For after stabilizing his cultivation, Jiang Chankong stood up, and the golden slate no longer emitted golden light. Looking at the time, only 2 hours had passed. This stone slab, at the very least, was a treasure close to the god level. The abyss dragon also sensed it. It walked over and put away the stone slab. Brother, how is it? With Brother Long's treasure, it's naturally a success. Jiang Chankong's eyes shone brightly. Brother Long is really lucky. If news of this treasure were to spread, even deities would fight for it. Of course, but brother, don't tell anyone else. The abyss dragon's expression became serious. Don't worry, Brother Long is sharing such a treasure with me. Why would I tell anyone else? Jiang Chankong smiled. He was not stupid. Even if he was tempted, he would snatch it himself. Why would he tell others? However, he would not snatch it. He could use it even if the abyss dragon had it. Then let's go to the next foothold. The abyss dragon urged. It could not wait any longer. It had just eaten a foothold's corpse, and it had also improved. Let's go. Jiang Chankong walked out of the house. Feng Qixing, Liang Xiaoshuani, and Feng Xiaoya waited outside. Feng Shuling and the others were gone. They have left. They won't tell anyone about us, Feng Qixing said. Liang Xiaoshuani also said, I promise that junior sister won't betray me. Feng Xiaoya, why haven't you left? Jiang Chankong asked in confusion. I want to be with Brother Qixing. Feng Xiaoya shrank back in fear. In the past 2 days, Feng Qixing had already explained everything clearly. Jiang Chankong's strength was no longer something they could do anything to. With his battle prowess of the Star Path, unless they invited a Star Path martial artist, anyone who came would die. Then let's go. Jiang Chankong led them to the next foothold. The Immortal Palace's footholds could be said to be everywhere here. If there were no accidents, it was completely enough for him to step into the Star Path. A few minutes later, the group arrived at a mountain peak. This was the Immortal Palace's foothold. However, this time, it was not the extreme Yang star's barrier, but the extreme Yin star's power. The abyss dragon directly rushed out. Its dragon claws tore the barrier, and the water of the yellow springs poured in. The abyss dragon is here. A cry sounded and spread throughout the entire mountain peak. Suddenly, a sword light tore through the void and drowned the water of the yellow springs. Rumble. The 150 feet long abyss dragon shook, and its huge body tumbled in the air. A sword mark almost cut off its claws. Star Path. The abyss dragon swept up the yellow springs, and the foul-smelling water whistled. The surrounding void trembled violently. Sneak attacker, come out and die. Jiang Chankong, you are really arrogant. The Star Path martial artist is very likely to be more powerful than you. What an evil beast. A slight carelessness, and I actually let you step into the Star Path. A middle-aged woman in white stepped into the air. Great Tao imprints intertwined, and the void trembled. I remember your aura. You once bullied me. The abyss dragon's expression was ferocious, and the yellow springs shook violently. Today, you will become the material of the yellow springs. Brothers, step back. Leave this woman to me. Feng Qixing and the other two were a little confused. Can you handle it? Jiang Changkong thought for a moment and waved his hand. You guys step back. I will watch here. This middle-aged woman gave him a lot of pressure. She was slightly stronger than the abyss dragon. Before he perfected his two martial arts, Jiang Changkong was confident that he could defeat her. Now, he could completely kill her. Before that, he would let the abyss dragon suffer a little first, and he would do something himself. His soul power fluctuated, and Jiang Changkong rushed toward the mountain peak. Then leave it to Brother Dragon. I will go and kill the others. With me here, you still dare to commit murder? The middle-aged woman's expression was cold, and her sword light slashed out. The moon sword light had a deep Tao rhythm. Everywhere it passed, the void cracked. Rumble. The yellow springs surged, and corpse chi filled the sky. The abyss dragon's huge body blocked the sword light. Old woman, you're dead today. Back when he had not achieved the star path, the people of the immortal palace had bullied him many times. When he met Jiang Changkong, he was chased by the immortal palace to find the star saint graveyard. This was not the first time he had experienced such a thing. However, the abyss dragon had no choice but to do as he was told. After entering the graveyard, he was faced with danger. When it was time to split the benefits, they chased him away, and he almost lost his life a few times. Only Jiang Changkong did not regret sharing the corpses with him. Even though he could easily kill him, he did not regret it. That was why he could step into the star path now. That was why he was willing to share his treasures. Evil creature. The middle-aged woman's expression was cold. The moon great Tao manifested, and the void could not withstand it. Wherever the sword light passed, it was supported by the great Tao. Roar. The abyss dragon roared, and the yellow springs surged. The power of the corpse path supported the yellow springs, and it clashed with the bright moon. Boom! The star path existences clashed, and the void collapsed. The might of the Tao spread out, and everything melted in the wake of the aftermath. Fortunately, Liang Xiaoshuani and the others were already far away. Otherwise, the aftermath alone could kill them. This is a star path martial artist? A hint of shock appeared on Liang Xiaoshuani's calm face. This is only the early stage of the star path. Feng Qixing said solemnly, a top martial artist is no longer something that the void realm can withstand. Only the endless starry sky can. Chapter 373. On the other side, Jiang Changkong arrived in front of the barrier. His soul Tao penetrated the barrier. Wherever his soul power passed, the cultivators inside were dumbfounded. They pressed some buttons. The extreme Yin barrier silently opened. Jiang Changkong entered the barrier and used the God-controlling art. He found two peak star bodies who had comprehended a bit of the Yin Great Tao. Both of them had the faces of young women. Of course, they were very old. Jiang Changkong chose one at random and pointed at her forehead. Soul-searching secret art. He poured his soul power into it. He searched her soul first, and then let the soul-stabilizing tree devour it. Then, a soul shadow left Jiang Changkong and entered the woman's body. Soul incarnation. Then, he poured in the power of the Yin star and strengthened it with his great Tao, forcefully changing the woman's Yin Great Tao. Jiang Changkong used the 8 martial arts and poured in the power of the Yin Great Tao. The woman's body couldn't bear it. He changed his mind and poured in the power of the Yin star. Crack! A sound came from the woman's body. Cracks appeared on it. He frowned. This way, he probably couldn't use this body more than a few times. Glancing at the other peak star body, Jiang Changkong could only say sorry to the Nether Dragon. He should be able to use these 2 peak star bodies a few more times. The Nether Dragon should be satisfied with that woman. After pouring in the astral power, Jiang Changkong took out a level 10 recovery potion he got from the Celestial Palace. The level 10 potion helped him recover his astral power quickly. 2 corpses were done. He left one in the interspatial ring as a backup. He poured his soul into it and put on the black robe. Then, he put on the ring and left. Jiang Changkong raised his palm. Countless souls flew out. The roots of the soul-stabilizing tree spread and devoured all the souls. Rumble. In the distance, the space was collapsing. The nether dragon and the middle-aged woman were fighting. The Yin Great Tao and the corpse Tao of the Yellow Springs. The dense Tao aura collapsed. The void couldn't bear it, and the earth was melting. The water of the Yellow Springs splashed everywhere. Many wounds were branded on the nether dragon's body. The middle-aged woman also had a few wounds, but they were only minor. Roar. The nether dragon roared, and a torrent of corpse energy surged. Mystic Moon Xianghua. The middle-aged woman shouted softly. The mystic moon sword chi carried boundless Taoist rhymes and diverted the corpse chi. The abyss dragon's expression changed, and the Yellow Springs enveloped him. Boom! Wherever the mystic moon sword chi passed, the Yellow Spring was diverted and the corpse chi melted. Danger loomed over it, and the abyss dragon quickly rolled away. However, its body was too big, and it could only avoid being hit in its vitals. A sword mark tore open the Yellow Springs corpse path and almost tore him apart. Evil creature, I just happen to lack a mount. If you obediently bow down, I'll spare your life. The middle-aged woman's expression was cold. The bright moon rose, and the power of Yin filled the void. Old woman, you haven't seen my methods yet. The abyss dragon roared, and a gray pearl the size of a goose egg shot out. Corpse energy surged into the air. You can actually nurture a Dragon Ball. The middle-aged woman was startled, then overjoyed. This mount of yours is mine. The Netherworld Abyssal Dragon was rare to begin with, and there might only be one in the Void Realm. Being able to nurture a Dragon Ball meant that he had achieved success and had unlimited potential in the future. Anyone would be tempted by a Nether Dragon with such potential. Die! The Abyss Dragon roared. The Dragon Ball carried a monstrous corpse energy, and the corpse Tao imprint released boundless Tao might. Sacred Moon. The middle-aged woman spun her sword. With the support of the Yin Great Tao, a sacred aura spread out, and it actually suppressed the corpse energy. Rumble. The Sacred Moon Sword and the corpse Tao Dragon Ball clashed, and the void within a radius of 50 kilometers collapsed. Under the aftermath, the ground cracked, forming a 10,000-meter abyss. The huge dragon tumbled in the void, and sword marks covered its entire body. Silver blood splattered, and the middle-aged woman flew backward, shattering space. Her body cracked, and she gave off a thick corpse energy. The gray dragon ball flew back, and there was a crack on it. The abyss dragon's aura was weak, and it said with a ferocious expression, "Old woman, I said that I would devour you today." Evil creature. The woman's expression was cold. A bottle of silver-white medicine appeared, and she poured it into her mouth. The corpse energy in her body quickly dissipated, and her injuries healed quickly. Her aura surged, and the great Tao imprint appeared. Her strength was restored. The abyss dragon, damn it, she's cheating. Evil creature, I'll give you one last chance. The middle-aged woman had a proud expression as she looked down at the abyss dragon. Brother Changkong, leave quickly. I can't hold on much longer, the abyss dragon shouted. The abyss dragon shouted loudly. It wanted to run, but now that it was heavily injured, it might not be able to escape. This Xing Dao was too shameless. He actually brought a top-grade medicine. Jiang Changkong. The middle-aged woman's gaze was cold. The two of you together are really a pair of scourges. The abyss dragon roared in a low voice. The Yellow Springs gathered, and corpse energy condensed. It was prepared to fight with its life on the line. Buzz. The void rippled, and Jiang Changkong's figure appeared. He stood between the two of them and looked at the middle-aged woman coldly. You should go down and accompany your people. A bunch of trash. If they die, so be it. But you, a star body tier cultivator, dare to come and die? The middle-aged woman's expression was cold, and the Tao of Yin rose again. Today, I will kill the dragon and capture you. Brother Changkong, I could delay a few moves. The abyss dragon was moved. Under such circumstances, Jiang Changkong actually came. "Brother Dragon, rest. I'll kill her," Jiang Changkong said calmly. The great Tao of power and the great Tao of soul appeared at the same time. The Taiji Yin Yang art balanced two kinds of power and three great celestial bodies. Or rather, it was one great celestial body and two great Taos now. No matter how many celestial bodies you have, you can't make up for the difference between us. The middle-aged woman shouted coldly, and her sword slashed down. Taiji returned to one. Jiang Changkong raised his palm, and the black and white Taiji diagram wrapped around the two great Taos and shot out. Buzz! The great Tao of Yin trembled, and the Taiji diagram spun. However, it couldn't contain it, and could only deflect a portion of the power. The power of Taiji had yet to comprehend a great Tao. It was already a bit difficult for it to contain two great Taos. However, this was enough. A single great Tao couldn't compare to a star body tier cultivator, but with two great Taos complementing each other, it already surpassed the middle-aged woman. Boom! The palm landed, and the middle-aged woman flew out. Silver-white blood splattered, and a crack appeared on her body. "How is this possible? Your strength is actually above mine?" The middle-aged woman stood up and said in disbelief. The abyss dragon was also stunned. It was about to make a move, but in the end, Jiang Changkong sent his opponent flying with one palm. Jiang Changkong hadn't reached the star body tier yet, right? A high-level cultivator killing a top-tier star body tier cultivator? Taiji returned to one. Jiang Changkong struck out again, and the black and white Taiji diagram descended with the two great Taos. Sacred Moon. The middle-aged woman's expression turned cold, and she used her ultimate technique again. Rumble. An invisible force shattered the void, and the woman was directly smashed into a spatial crack. Her body cracked, and silver-white blood flowed out. "Jiang Changkong, I'll remember you." The middle-aged woman finally accepted the fact that she wasn't Jiang Changkong's match. Her body shone with silver light, and just as she was about to leave, the world suddenly darkened, and endless darkness enveloped her. An ancient six-story palace flew out, and a majestic suction force came over, directly swallowing the middle-aged woman. A six-story soul palace. Although there weren't many Tao runes left, the middle-aged woman wouldn't be able to walk out in a short time. This bit of time was enough for him to kill her. The power of Taiji returned to one poured into the six-story palace. Chapter 374. The Taoist rhyme of the Soul Palace had not dissipated yet. It was one of his trump cards. Activating the God-controlling art, he poured his soul power into the palace and activated the Star Maze Array. Tai Chi merged into one and attacked the middle-aged woman. Dong dong. The six-story palace shook violently. Jiang Changkong shrunk and entered the maze. He had already figured out this place. Even without the soul-stabilizing tree, Jiang Changkong could go anywhere he wanted. On the sixth floor, silver-white blood kept flowing out of the middle-aged woman's body. She panted heavily and held her sword tightly. Jiang Changkong. Seeing him, the middle-aged woman's face turned extremely cold. She slashed the Taiyin sword ray. Buzz. Soul Taoist rhyme rippled in the surroundings. The Taiyin sword ray reversed and stabbed at the woman. Jiang Changkong slammed out with his palm. Tai Chi merged into one. Bang! Chi-Chi. The palm landed and the woman flew out. The sword ray pierced through her body. "You're really tenacious. You're not dead yet." Jiang Changkong sighed lightly and struck out with another palm strike. The middle-aged woman's expression was cold, but she did not dare to attack again. She could only defend passively. Bang! She flew out again and merged into the endless darkness. Jiang Changkong seemed to have expected this. He appeared behind her and slammed out again. Clang! The sword slashed out in time, but it hit the void. Fortunately, there was a layer of invisible force that blocked the sword. Gray air current and the patterns of the star array were hidden within. The middle-aged woman flew out again. Silver-white blood gushed out. "What the hell is this place?" "Soul Maze." Jiang Changkong said expressionlessly. "You and I are so close but so far apart. Then how can you hurt me?" Because I'm the owner of this place. You're also a star path expert. Why are you so naive? Jiang Changkong said indifferently and appeared behind the middle-aged woman. This maze is under my control. If he controlled the soul maze, he would be invincible unless he was much stronger. Those who were much stronger than him probably would not be trapped here for long. When he got close to the god treasure, many Taoist rhymes dissipated. Jiang Changkong was not sure about the specifics, but a late-stage star path expert would not be trapped for long. He used his soul power to control the star maze formation. The soul stabilizing tree swayed, helping him perfectly control the maze. If he wanted to, he could stand in front of the other party and they wouldn't even be able to see him. Back then, the soul labyrinth was also a powerful top-grade weapon. Unfortunately, it fell into the hands of that bitch time. After several Tai Chi returned to one, the middle-aged woman finally couldn't take it anymore and exploded. While the body was still merging, Jiang Changkong's palm landed a few more times. Jiang Changkong, you have completely angered the Immortal Palace. Just wait for the Immortal Palace to hunt you down. The middle-aged woman's hair was disheveled, and her expression was cruel. Jiang Changkong raised his hand and pressed it against the woman's forehead. Don't talk about things you can't see. Soul-searching secret art. A tyrannical soul power rushed into the woman's forehead and forcefully searched her soul. Dream on, the woman shouted in a low voice. The mark of the great path trembled, and the power of her soul exploded. Jiang Changkong's expression was gloomy. He only had time to see this scene. Research Palace headquarters. He didn't know the specific location. He only knew that it was in a few mountains. After taking off the space equipment and the moon sword, Jiang Changkong left the soul labyrinth with the corpse. Outside, the nether dragon was lying in front of the palace. Its body had shrunk and it looked inside. However, it couldn't see anything because it was pitch black inside. Don't look, your corpse. Jiang Changkong appeared and threw the corpse to it. After catching the corpse, the nether dragon hurriedly wrapped it in the water of the yellow springs and said excitedly, "Thank you, brother." Jiang Changkong put away the soul labyrinth and brought the three of them to the stronghold. The nether dragon hurriedly followed. I'll go into seclusion first. You guys do what you need to do. Jiang Changkong waved his hand and asked them to collect the space equipment together. In order to rush back to save the nether dragon, he didn't collect the space equipment. The three of them quickly put away all the space equipment, and the four of them used the equipment to process the star crystals. The Immortal Palace is already on guard. If we go to the next stronghold, it will either be empty or guarded by a stronger force. Lianqiu Xuanyi processed the star crystals and said calmly, "You destroyed a few strongholds of the Immortal Palace. The people of the Immortal Palace will probably come here." Feng Xiaoya also said. Feng Qixing nodded. "I think we shouldn't stay here. It's better to take the equipment away." Jiang Changkong pondered for a moment and said, "Okay, Brother Dragon, don't go into seclusion first. Let's go somewhere else." The nether dragon flew out. "Brother Kong, what's there to be afraid of if we work together? Don't you have that palace?" Jiang Changkong's mouth twitched. "What if the Immortal Palace sends a mid-stage star path? When I step into the star path, I'll take you to kill everyone. How about it?" The nether dragon thought for a moment and nodded. "Then let's go." As he spoke, the water of the yellow springs covered all the corpses and disintegrated them. The four of them and the dragon left the stronghold and found a deserted place to stop. While the nether dragon was in seclusion, they could process the star crystals. As usual, they gave some 7th-grade star crystals to Lianqiu Xuanyi. Jiang Changkong calculated his essence, qi, and spirit. This time, he had gained more than 200 million. He could perfect a martial art again. A day passed. All the star crystals were dealt with. The nether dragon also came out of seclusion. Its injuries had recovered and it had improved a lot. Jiang Changkong borrowed its treasure. This time, he perfected the Taiji yin-yang art. His strength increased again. Unfortunately, he still did not know how to comprehend the Taiji Dao. There was no shortcut. Jiang Changkong had no choice. Where are we going next? The nether dragon lay on the ground and looked at Jiang Changkong. "I don't care about ordinary star path. I'm just worried that it will be stronger. Jiang Changkong pondered and said, we definitely have to go to the Immortal Palace's stronghold. However, I'll make the first move this time. If there are any accidents, we'll leave immediately. I'll listen to you. The Nether Dragon started to have an idea. He could not do whatever he wanted even if he broke through to the star path. He had to take revenge for the humiliation he suffered in the past. He had to work hard and cultivate. Now he pinned his hopes on this brother Kong. Feng Qixing, lead the way. Jiang Changkong said calmly. As he spoke, he took out the Tai Yin's sword and threw it on the ground. What are you doing? This is a level 10 weapon, the Tai Yin's sword. The group of people felt their hearts ache. He threw it away just like that? The Nether Dragon was also very puzzled. This is a star path weapon. You're too wasteful. Let's go. Someone will come to get it later. I didn't really throw it away. Jiang Changkong brought them and merged with the world. Someone will come to get it. Who? The Nether Dragon asked curiously. Lianxiu Xuani's expression changed. Jiang Changwei is here? Yes, he's here. This weapon is prepared for him. Jiang Changkong nodded. Next, he would let Jiang Changwei do it. It was a corpse anyway. If it was destroyed, he could just change it to another one. Who is Jiang Changwei? The Nether Dragon was a little confused. His life and death brother. He's not weaker than him. The Nether Dragon, it's fine that I recognize a little brother. He's stronger than me, but there's another that's just as strong? In the next moment, the Nether Dragon said in surprise, I sensed it. It's the power of Yin. However, it shouldn't be as strong as you. Jiang Changkong did not answer him. They had arrived at the Immortal Palace's new stronghold. He was not in a hurry to reveal himself. Instead, Jiang Changyue went over first to take a look at the situation. Chapter 375. For people, and one dragon hid in the void and did not get too close. Jiang Changyue, who was dressed in black, headed toward the stronghold. The shadow barrier flashed, and a martial artist shouted with a cold expression, Who are you? Stop. Jiang Changyue stopped, and a shadow sword appeared in her hand. She spoke in a weak female voice. Lord has fallen. I ran back with all my might to inform you. What? Lord has fallen. The martial artist's expression changed. The other martial artists were shocked and gathered. Show us your true face. Let us see who you are. A middle-aged martial artist walked out and said coldly. Jiang Changyue was silent for a moment. Then, she slowly took off her clothes and hat, revealing a face full of scars. Did you see clearly? The martial artists were shocked. A few timid ones even took 2 steps back. After covering her face again, Jiang Changyue became silent. Come in, Xiaoyu. What's going on? Who did it? The shadow barrier opened, and the middle-aged martial artist hurried over. Jiang Changkong, is there a Star Path Lord here? Jiang Changyue asked. Jiang Changkong. A cold voice was heard. A young man walked out of the house and stared at her. You said that Jiang Changkong did it. It was Jiang Changkong and his men. He has a dark dragon with him, and it has already reached the Star Path realm. Jiang Changyue said angrily, Lord died in the hands of that dark dragon. That dark dragon from Yellow Springs? It actually achieved the Star Dao, and it even hangs out with Jiang Changkong? The martial artists were shocked. No wonder Jiang Changkong could destroy a few strongholds. He had the help of Yellow Springs' dark dragon. Do you know where Jiang Changkong went? The young man asked. The Sun Taoist rhyme around him was thick. Jiang Changyue shook her head. I don't know. The situation was chaotic. I was lucky to escape. Rest well. If Jiang Changkong dares to come, I will kill him, Pucci. Before he could finish his words, Jiang Changyue suddenly raised her sword and pierced through his body. The soundless sword was extremely fast, and the young man was caught off guard. The tyrant Saber Dao and the Moon Great Dao entered his body at the same time. You deserve to die. The young man let out a furious roar, and the ferocious power of the sun was unleashed. Damn it! How dare you betray the celestial palace? The surrounding martial artists shouted angrily and released their mighty star power. Rumble! The shadow barrier trembled fiercely. A netherworld dragon and a palm strike tore the barrier apart. The water of the Yellow Springs flowed backwards, rushing into this place. Jiang Changkong, the Netherworld Dragon. The group of martial artists had no time to deal with Jiang Changwei. They hurried to defend themselves with star power. However, after the Abyss Dragon stepped into the star path, the power of the Yellow Springs also multiplied. If one did not step into the star path, there was no way to block it. Even a cultivator who had comprehended a trace of the great Tao could only resist for a moment. How dare you? The young man was shocked and angry. The power of the sun surged out, and powder flew out of his body. It was his internal organs that had been shattered by the tyrant's saber and the moon great Tao. Come on. Jiang Changkong opened another 6-story palace and forcefully pulled the young man into it. Go in. Jiang Changkong entered the 6-story maze with the Netherworld Dragon. Rumble. As soon as they entered, they felt the raging power of the sun. The Tai Chi fusion suddenly fell. Boom! The two palms collided and the great Tao intertwined. The two were pushed back at the same time. How powerful! My sneak attack didn't do much damage to you. Jiang Changkong's expression froze. His Tai Chi fusion could only be on par with this person. You're really surprising. You've grown so much in such a short time. The young man glanced at the Netherworld Dragon and then at Jiang Changkong. Do you think you can take me down? You'll know once you try. Jiang Changkong snorted and raised his palm again. The Tai Chi fusion. Roar. The Netherworld Dragon roared and spat out corpse energy toward the young man. Die. The young man snorted and slashed at Jiang Changkong with his sun sword. At the same time, he raised his palm to attack the Netherworld Dragon. Buzz. In the endless darkness, the Soul Star Array appeared again, and the Tao flowed. Clang. The sun sword slashed down, but it hit the void. The palm energy also hit the void. There seemed to be two hidden walls in the darkness, blocking all of his power. Boom! The palm energy and corpse energy landed on the young man at the same time. Uft. Golden blood splattered. The young man flew out with a gloomy expression. I can't do anything to you outside, but you're dead here. Jiang Changkong snorted and raised his palm again. The Netherworld Dragon roared and charged at the young man. My brother is too powerful. This is another Star Path cultivator, and he's much stronger than the Moon Star Path cultivator. Outside, Jiang Changyue used his sword as a saber. The Moon Great Tao and the Tyrant Saber were unharmed on the surface, but the insides were turned to dust. Thinking of the Netherworld Dragon, he still held back. He only destroyed its life force and didn't turn it into dust again. A few cultivators who comprehended a trace of a great Tao couldn't block the saber light. Everywhere the sword passed, the Tyrant's saber swept down and life force was destroyed. Soon, Feng Qixing and Liang Xiaoshuani also came to help. Seeing that they lost Jiang Changkong's strength, they felt that the Netherworld Dragon was right. Jiang Changwei was not as good as Jiang Changkong. The battle on the 6th floor of the maze was still starting. The young man was very sullen. His attacks couldn't hit the dragon and the human at all, and Jiang Changkong's strength was similar to his. Every attack could injure him. The Netherworld Dragon was ruthless enough. He took out his Dragon Pearl again. This time, the Yellow Springs also poured into the Dragon Pearl. It formed a grayish-yellow Dragon Pearl, similar to the one given to Jiang Changkong. Boom! Golden blood splattered. The young man was severely injured. His star power kept erupting, and the Sun Great Tao shook. The Soul Formation kept activating. Jiang Changkong paid attention to the Soul Tao runes. After this, he could almost retire. The Dragon Pearl smashed over and created a bloody hole. Jiang Changkong's palm landed, and the sound of bones cracking rang out. The Netherworld Dragon roared. Its dragon claws pressed down on the young man and tore. Golden blood splattered, and his arm was sent flying. The ferocious Netherworld Dragon opened its mouth and spewed out boundless corpse energy again. Despite the intense pain, the young man was still calm. He slashed at the Netherworld Dragon with his sun sword. Clang! Jiang Changkong's palm landed on the sun sword. The terrifying power sent the sword flying. Stop struggling. You won't live. Jiang Changkong shouted coldly and landed his palm force again. It was a completely unfair fight. The young man kept erupting with the Sun Great Tao and his star power, but he couldn't change anything. The sun flame dimmed. Scalding golden blood dripped, and his aura became weaker and weaker. The corpse energy enveloped him and corroded his body, opening the door to death for him. Bang! As the young man fell, the battle came to an end. Jiang Changkong picked up the sun sword and used the holy sun art. Sunset blade. The dense sun great Tao and the sunset pierced through his body and nailed him to the ground. Although it had a lot of resistance against the same element, the sunset blade still had soul power. The extremely weak young man looked at the sword that pierced through his body. He didn't have the strength to resist anymore. Jiang Changkong pressed down on the young man and used the soul-searching secret art again. Scenes flashed. The next moment, with a bang, his soul exploded into countless pieces. The soul-stabilizing tree's roots flew out and absorbed the exploded soul power. The netherworld dragon hurriedly dodged to the side.